what is Banton Frameworks?
Banton Frameworks is a tower belief, anyway, in our opinion, Scotland's only eyewear manufacturer. There are people who make frames, but we make them at what would be considered a reasonable scale in the UK. We're one of 3 UK frame manufacturers or eyewear manufacturers, specialising in acetate full rim eyewear, spectacles and sunglasses. Primarily aimed towards men, just purely because of the way they're constructed, using traditional and modern techniques to make them.
So what was it you said?
Acetate.
Acetate. So that's the material you're using.
That's the material.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What was the reason for going that way? Was it a design based on material, or was it material based then design followed? How did that all look for you guys?
Well, originally we started out making them from wood, but this was about 10 years ago. And then we it was a bit of a baptism of fire. It made it more difficult for ourselves. And then it was about 3-4 years in, we decided to go for acetate, which is more of a traditional way of making frames.
Right.
Our main reason initially for not going down the acetate road was because we basically didn't have all the machinery that you need, tumbler, all that kind of stuff. Whereas originally we had this basically a laser cutter and we layered up loads of different layers of wood.
Okay.
And we could hand sand. Whereas acetate, you can hand sand it obviously, but it's maybe a bit more
steps.
Yeah, it's more difficult. So we just kind of evolved from there. And then we started doing them with metal sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then only 2 years ago, just before the pandemic, we actually got the equipment to do full acetate frames, because you've got to shoot the core. Metal core gets shot into the acetate, which is an incredibly difficult process to master. I'm still trying to get a hold.
So when you say shoot so the acetane, the legs are already made up and you're actually firing it in, you're not layering it up and setting it within that?
No.
Right.
So that's a kind of more like sort of handcraft kind of process. So our process is basically heat it up. The temperature has to be just right. It can't be too cold and it can't be too hot, because then it will melt, start bubbling away. And you basically fire a bit of metal into it. It's that machine in the corner there. That's cool. And so that's been a bit of a kind of revelation in that.
It's basically witchcraft.
It's tough.
I say that because it's you that does it.
Yeah.
But
you just look over and you're like, yep, witchcraft, don't you get involved in that?
No, I think obviously we have different roles within the business, not just in the business, but obviously in the production side of things. And there's some processes that I think before we even learn to do them, I'd be like, no, that's something that Lucy would do. And that's definitely one of them. It's like baking versus cooking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's people who can cook and there's people who can bake or do both, like you. But like the accuracy, the precision, the repeatability, fighting with temperature, which is always fun in Scotland.
Yeah.
Like we're talking like the tolerance, like you'll shoot. I remember the desk we've got over there covered in temples, which for people listening is the sides of the frames, the arms, the legs. People have different names for them. We call them temples. That desk over there was just covered in them with a white pen writing on. This is when Lucy was learning how to do the process. And it's literally just a sea of temples on the desk. Temperature, time, what temperature was the acetate in the oven?
Mm-hmm.
How long was it in for? What temperature was the metal core? Like dwells, times, and like the whole desk had all these notes written over them. Just literally sample after sample after sample, test after test. I think you went through like 200, 300, 400 temples just to learn how to do it.
Yeah, the machines, we got these new machines that are behind us, and they actually have a little counter on them as to how many times you've pressed go on that machine.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
so it's quite cool. So it kind of like ticks over. So you can have an actual numerical sort of...
You basically just locked yourself down here for about 2 or 3 weeks. And even then, months afterwards, it's still having issues. But the point being that, going back to the question about the acetate, is that when we started out, we got really good at making fronts. That was like our thing. The fronts, the front of the frame, the bit that people see was the bit that we got good at first back when we started making them from wood. And that was originally how the whole project started. It's like, how does the shape of a frame, the weight of a frame influence how people perceive you. At the time, we were using wood, which is obviously a very organic, natural material, which most acetates try to simulate because they use naturally warm tones, like Lucy's frame that she's wearing right now, like browns, ambers, burgundies, different transparencies. But to master, as Lucy just mentioned, the shooting process was just one of the processes. The skill, and not just that, but the investment, the time involved to get that right was just insane. And it's kind of ironic because the making fronts is actually simpler than making the sides or the temples. And we needed about 4 or 5 times more equipment just to do them. And to most people looking at a pair of glasses, they're just sticks.
Yeah.
But
you look at the front of the glass, the frame, that's the aesthetic, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the thing people see.
Yeah. And so, because we speak to loads of people, don't we? And this is probably the first one, certainly the first one we've sat down on the podcast side. Perhaps and Right was a little bit the same, but it's verging on engineering, isn't it? Like, this is a scientific engineering process that you guys are doing, yet still being very creative in.
And, you know, we did interview you for edition 3, and you kind of have the same story where you both met at university, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was product design. Exactly the same of us, and you're still together. So it's quite a nice, story. So how did it start? Like, it was your university project, and then what were you doing? Was it this?
I'll let Lucy answer
okay.
that one. What was I doing?
Well, so it was kind of nearing the end of our sort of university. You do your end of year degree show and all that kind of stuff. And
fun times.
Yeah. And Jamie, you were CNC machining something.
Something forgettable.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
I was doing it was a kitchen. It's kind of like a mortar and pestle.
Oh, that's what it was.
That's cool.
Yeah, we're both obsessed with food, but mine was food orientated, whereas yours was obviously eyewear. So we'll stick to that.
Yeah, so you'd been doing a bit of CNC machining, and I was trying to get like the very, very first frame made from wood, and you were kind of started helping me doing the
cutting out.
Yeah, basically cutting out. Obviously, we've got a bit more of a fancier version of it over in the corner now, but so that's how we sort of teamed up, and then it kind of got to the end of, obviously you graduate and all that kind of stuff, and we were just kind of sitting there going, oh, maybe we should do like a master's or something. You kind of get to the end of uni, you don't really know what you're going to do. So we decided to go to sort of set ourselves a challenge to go to Design Junction. And set up and take some frames down and just basically see what happens.
Part of September Design Week in
London. So we finished in June, and then we sort of set ourselves a target of September, which was a bit silly in hindsight, but we thought, oh yeah, we'll have some frames by then.
Yeah.
And you're still making them on the day.
Yeah, we were. We were still making them like at the show. We had the absolute, we had a few concept boards, but that was basically about the extent of it.
The reality is that we said, we can make something to sell at this design show in London in September, and classic kind of design student style just totally overestimated or underestimated it.
Yeah.
I was making them in the car on the way down to the show, at the show, because we still didn't have anything to literally pay for the fact that we'd poured some savings into booking a space at this design show, which back then for us was a lot of money. Took a huge risk on it, and basically accidentally ended up creating some kind of like press-worthy sort of spectacle, excuse the pun, at the show. People were like, photographers and journalists were coming up and they were like, this is amazing. Whilst I was like sweating.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make frames so I could sell these tomorrow, because press day was the first day of the event. And kind of accidentally turned it into like a bit of a theatre show.
That's cool though.
It's cool looking back. It wasn't
No, because you're
Yeah.
stressing out that is this going to work? Are people actually going to buy these?
Yeah.
So London happened, and we kind of drove back up the road in our Mini. We packed everything in the Mini on the way down, drove it all back up. It was like a circus, and came back with our tail between our legs, and then we said, let's go again.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't put you off, obviously.
No.
No, we didn't learn.
I think that would have been enough for most people, to be honest. I think sane people would have said, nah, like...
You had a vision, you were going to like, I want to make
we
this
just
work.
sort of like kind of became quite obsessed with it. We're just obsessed with making them better, and it just didn't stop.
Yeah.
Like, we just wanted to make them,
I think the best way of describing it was, like, we both knew we could do it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no doubt in our minds. It wasn't like let's see. To most people, like they are quite simple objects, glasses, when you think about them. they're not.
No, they're
They're
definitely not.
deceptively simple, but I think that goes for a lot of things in life. The simplest things are often the most complicated. But with frames, we were like, no, we know like with the right equipment we could make eyewear. It was just a case of how do we get there, and using the processes we had to hand at the time. So we knew through our course of product design, like if that's all we have available, we're just gonna have to make that work. So we did, but that never stopped. I mean, it's still evolving now to this day. But I think the journey at first was really like not can we, or it was can we, and now it's like, well, how will we do this now?
Yeah, I love it.
Because I think eyewear is made in particular ways. There's certain techniques that are involved with that, different ways of doing it. There's many ways of skinning a cat. We've chopped and changed and gone back to the original process we haven't touched in like 3 or 4 years in this whole journey. Like, oh, actually that was better for certain reasons.
I know, I think we always have that, we need to try it again, or we need to do something different, but actually just go back to what you did.
Yeah, you had it right the first time.
Yeah.
I think though you said something the other day, Lucy, like it plays into we're both quite similar in the respect of like pebbles on a beach, like turning over stones every day. Like that's kind of, we're more like chippers, if you want to call it that. There was never big bursts, although there was big like discoveries, like we called it like an endorphin hit. You know, it's like a buzz, like, oh, we've managed to figure this out.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is a really good feeling. It's addictive for sure. But I think our mentality or our demeanor, our disposition is very much like, how can we get it 1% better?
Yeah.
But the thing with us is it was never a case of like, oh, I was in the right place at the right time. I had enough sleep and I got it right that day. It was no like, now I figured that out. How do I get that on lock?
It's a good attitude.
It is, because I think people journal, like, how was I feeling that day? Or what did I eat? Or like athletes do that a lot with their performance, but they're very much like in tune with their body, whereas we're in tune not only with our skill, but also the machines we use.
Yeah.
So we've got like diaries and diaries full of like temperatures.
And was it all self-taught? Like
Self-taught,
learn?
everything.
Yeah.
We're on, that's the other thing, like, yeah, like the UK is an island, but we're literally an island when it comes to making eyewear, because the majority of eyewear isn't made in this part of the world. It's either Europe, like parts of France and Italy. The Jura is called. Ironically, they've got a Jura in Scotland, as we all know. The other epicenter of eyewear production outside of Europe is obviously Asia. But I kind of exclude it as its own entity as Japan within Asia, as it's got its own thing going on. Yeah. It's very, very concentrated though to a particular region in Japan. Yeah. Those are like the 3 main sort of optical hubs of manufacture.
Right.
Obviously Scotland's up and coming in that scene, but yeah, when I say we're out at an island, yeah, there was no one here to show us what to do.
Yeah.
There was no one to teach us. There was YouTube and there was our brief 4 years at university. Brief, when I say brief, it's brief compared to how long we've been spent learning how to make frames. Yeah. But yeah, that kind of gives you an idea of some of the starting process of how we do.
And how is that community, or is there a community of eyewear manufacturers within Scotland? You know, you said it's yourself and 2 or 3 others. Are you all helping each other? Do you talk much, or are you purely just like, this is us, this is how we are doing it, we're just going to do it our way?
Yeah, we haven't really spoken too much. There's a few makers, like guys in similar setups to us, obviously, that we've spoken to, but they make in very, very different ways. It's kind of like files and just hand tools. That's never really excited us. Never really been interested in that kind of side of things.
I guess you want to make more than one though. You want to be
able to... I think more the engineering side that you mentioned, like that's more my kind of, and I think it's your bag as well. Like I want to make it somewhat repeatable. I don't necessarily want to make thousands of them. I don't want to set up a huge big factory and sell, you know.
But there is a middle ground there.
Yeah, that's
there's a middle ground that a lot of good products come out of. Like we were talking about Red Wings earlier, like they've not got a factory that's going to pump out thousands and thousands and thousands. Yes, they've got a factory that can pump out maybe a couple of thousand, but it's still very much like use the right machines from the right time era, the right product. And there's still a real worth in that. Like products, you know, if you're filing away at them, you're maybe going to make one set every X amount of time. What does the price point need to be for that? It makes it super inaccessible. But it sounds like what you guys are doing is kind of finding that middle point. And obviously with all the trialing and testing you guys are doing, it's repeatable, isn't it? Because if you're doing it with a file, it's not going to be repeatable.
No, yeah, it's kind of like a one-off, really, in its own right. But yeah, we're kind of, it's finding that happy medium where the customer's still getting something unique to an extent, but I could
Very
still,
unique.
yeah, I could still. We do envisage scaling up a bit, and being able to teach somebody how to machine, and it is repeatable.
It's kind of, it's just, when we were starting out, we knew we wanted to. It wasn't going to ever be one-offs. It wasn't art. It wasn't one-off pieces, bespoke. Although we have done bespoke in the past, but it's finding that our position within going from one-offs to like mass manufacture, and we knew that we would fall somewhere in the middle. And the way we've always been orientated is repeatability, which makes it sound like cookie cutting, but it's really not, because our batches are, if you compare us to some of the factories over, say, in like France, some of the nearest factories in Italy, you know, your minimums, your MLQs for somebody who wants to start an eyewear line, you're looking at 250, 300 pieces.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to compete with the Italians, the French, or the Japanese for that matter, although the Japanese, in my opinion, are some of the best frame makers in the world. They still have factories to keep open, doors to keep open. They have those fluctuations. We aspire, we often talk about other brands, not within optics, more to do with, for example, like other areas of fashion, menswear, things like that. Like, for example, Bremont, down in what is it? Where is it? They operate? Henley on Thames. Obviously, they make watches here in the UK. They are like the watch manufacturer. You know, there's other, you know, companies, you know, like even like Jaguar, who are producing cars here. Like, we envisage becoming essentially the sort of British eyewear manufacturer, as in not necessarily the top or the most expensive, the most luxurious, but basically forming something that we can leave behind or teach other people how to make frames that genuinely is recognized and accepted within the optical industry as, you know, a valuable and prominent player. That was the game all along, because I have huge admiration for these makers. You know, these one-off like guys whittling acetate beautifully. There's a guy in Bangkok we're obsessed with, Thailand. And he makes these amazing frames. They're absolutely beautiful. They're made from buffalo horn, acetate.
Oh my goodness.
His Instagram feed is absolutely beautiful. He does such a good job. And like, that was me like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe not doing it quite so aesthetically well, because he does do an amazing job. You know, he's selling through Etsy. Yeah. And that's amazing. And the world needs more people like that doing that. But that wasn't our goal. We never wanted to be just like us two whittling, as we call it. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's again, it was finding that happy medium where you're not pumping out millions, thousands of that thing.
Yeah, you're pumping out as many as you can. Well, like not doing loads, making sure the quality doesn't drop. You know, like, by all means, if you can do 100 and they're perfect, or you could do 105 and they're still as perfect, then you would do the 105.
Yeah, I mean, our machine through there, the tumbling machine we use to polish our frames, it's basically like a big kind of like tombola machine that polishes. That holds like 250 frames at once. We've filled it a handful of times. When I say filled it, like put in a substantial amount of frames like that. But I don't know, volume's a funny thing, because we've kind of gone up and down with it. Like, sometimes there are phases, especially depending on the style of frame that we make, the price point of the frame, right? That influences how many we make. But also being conscious not only of waste, but also of, you know, forecasting, things like that, which is difficult to do. But it's finding our feet, because obviously there's certain frames we make are more expensive than other ones, and, you know, you don't want to overmake. But at the same time, you don't want to be making less than what it's worth, because every time we go down, or you sit down to design a frame or make the files to machine them, it has to be worthwhile. And it's getting that balance right. So,
and how have you found finding that balance since uni? Has it been something that you kind of stumbled over, or is it who we're speaking to? We're speaking to Stephen, Wood and Gold, and he's very data driven, whereas Bert the Potter was, you know, I make this much, I release them, I sell it. I make this much, I release and sell and repeat. How do you guys kind of forecast that stuff?
Both, isn't it?
Yeah, we've tried to be data driven. Hasn't always worked out. Sometimes things just seem to take, and you don't really understand why.
It's frustrating, that.
Yeah, it is. And then you try and repeat it, and it doesn't quite work out the way you thought it was gonna. So I found that it is quite tough.
What's that?
Edition 1 for us, like we released just before Christmas. Kate done a fantastic job of the hype up. Instagram ads were sticking really well, Facebook ads were sticking really well. We just kept up on the ads, and the sales just kept going with it. Like for every £1 more we'd spend on ad, we'd get more sale. Exactly. And then we ordered. We're like, right, done it. You know, thousand more next time.
No.
Half of them are still sat there.
Yeah.
It's just you can't.
It's the game you play.
Yeah.
It does seem to. It seems like that. Yeah, it does seem to be a bit of luck of the draw, really.
There's I think eyewear can be quite fickle, just like anything fashion orientated. Although we don't necessarily actively like Primark follow what's hot that week, the 52 seasons of the year, like we're not doing that. But there are certain trends that come and go within eyewear for sure. Obviously acetate right now, like thick, like 70s, 80s frames are huge at the moment. Our frames, I don't think they were are particularly 80s. They're not like ironically, you know, I don't want to use the word hipster styled, but they're what I would consider classic styles. But there's some that come in and out of fashion. Someone wears a frame that's similar to that in F1 or a sport, and for some reason, like, oh, hey, we're selling loads of round black frames again, and they're just flying. And they're like, we have to go and make more, you know, which is nice. But there's, as I said, like the round black frames, all of a sudden they're just like stopped again.
The round frames doesn't seem to be moving as much as some of the other ones. So it's very odd. And obviously we've been in it for a while now. So we've been here for 10 years. So you start to notice, well, that's really popular, and then it dies away again. And then it becomes popular again. It's just quite odd, even though we've only been doing it for 10 years. So you do start to notice peaks and troughs of different things. But.
Totally.
So when it comes to designing it, is it purely just the ideas on the page, or what are you doing? Are you looking at current trends? It doesn't sound like you're following trends, but are they inspiring you, or how's that look for you?
I think we're sort of inspired by I am anyway, certain frames that I see on certain people actually more than anything. And I'm just like, oh, that looks really cool. I really like that style. And then I go and kind of find out who it is that makes it. And then I kind of look at that and go, well, what is it? I mean, we've kind of stuck to sort of quite a classic. We do have like a lot of like kind of keyhole bridges. It's kind of like, not like vintage inspired, but it's just like, we haven't gone for any weird and wacky frame that just does not float. It doesn't float my boat. I don't wear that. I never have. Yeah. So I don't see why. I wouldn't ever design one that I would wear myself.
Right.
So I think that's been kind of the basis. So some brands out there, they're just wild, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, but you know, I think we've tried to do some wild shapes and wild colors, and they've just never sold. Like we kind of have them there to sort of like, we use them as what was it we kind of describe
like
them
a
as
concept car.
Yeah, concept cars.
Yeah.
They never ever sell. We know they're never
cool.
really going to sell, but they're cool. And like, because we kind of did a sort of streamlined, minimal kind of collection, like maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and people started saying, oh, your glasses are not very colourful. And I'm like, yeah, because nobody buys them.
That's not your customer.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know?
I know.
But
they like to see it. They like to see, and then they go and buy the tortoise version of that bright orange one. That seems to be the relation.
The concept car is a brilliant analogy because, you know, anyone that's getting anything out there, like Audi's not going to show you the bog standard, you know, A1. It's like the full RS7, like the whole shit shebang there. So the concept car, I think, is... But how do you then put time into that? Is it just a case of, right, we're going to have to do this? It's almost just like a marketing write-off. Like, we're going to do something big and colourful just to gain some traction. Basically,
yeah. We did what we called Members Club, which we're trying to sort of bring back, where we did literally just one-offs. We get loads of samples from our acetate supplier, and they're all weird and wonderful acetates. Things that we know we probably won't, but we get them. And I'm like, oh, they're cool.
Little slabs like that.
Yeah, so you can make a single frame front from it.
Right.
And basically, we just machined loads of them and did them as a batch.
Oh, okay.
And then we like released them every month, and we called them kind of Members Club. And some of them didn't sell. We did sell them all eventually. But yeah, so we kind of did stuff like that. And it's a bit of a marketing exercise. Yeah. It just, every time you go into somebody's inbox, we obviously make... Like other people come onto the website and they buy your tortoise rounds, this or
the
your
scaled back version of that.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So I think marketing's probably the best way of describing that.
I think the reality is that these colourful wild shapes are a lure, if you will. But 9 times out of 10, people will buy the ones we know they're going to buy. They're not necessarily boring, but safer acetates because they wear them day to day. And in the UK especially, where we have a particular palette we try and probably stick to in our attire. I'll say that tastefully, respectfully. You know, those are the frames that people want to buy. And I think what our point of differentiation is that at a glance, you know, a square black pair of glasses, it's going to look good no matter what. It won't clash with your clothes. You can wear it to work, or you can wear it out at the weekend or to a wedding or something like that. But the thing that we pride ourselves on, and I think this is something that we try to communicate so hard, is that pick them up, touch them, try them on, because the way they're built, how they make you feel when you wear them, the way the hinges articulate, the way they sound when you put them on a desk or put them on your face, is what separates us from what you can buy on the high street.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very difficult thing to get across through a screen. And because we're direct to consumer at the moment, selling through our e-commerce store, we don't have a retail shop yet. The idea, when you see something on a screen, it's really difficult to get that across. And like video is helpful, nice pictures are helpful, but trying to convince somebody to say, hey, look, you know, you can return this if you want, but just try it on. And even if it doesn't suit you, can swap it for another one, but just let my frame or our work tell you why it's worth your money. Because we've had people literally email us. They say, I've worn square black glasses all my life. I've always worn this shape, but this is the best thing I've ever tried on. I just didn't know that glasses could look or feel like this.
That's exactly what you want, isn't it?
That's what you get with handmade, isn't it? It's just it's a different experience.
Yeah. And that it's an indescribable thing. It's like getting your first suit ever tailored, or I got a kilt made for me, or the first time like you try a single malt or whatever it might be that you really like. It's just you can't go back. It's like going back to instant coffee. Who the fuck wants to do that? You know?
It is a total bingo moment though, isn't it? It's like you've raised your own bar and you're not going to drop it back down.
So the guy who wants the square black pair of glasses, sure, you can go and get 100 of those right now. You can go and buy one of those today. I'll find you them all. You can buy them for 10 quid. You can buy them for whatever price you want. You can buy them mainstream brands, Chanel, Gucci, Armani, Ray-Ban, whatever you want to do. But ours came from this workshop right here. They feel this way. They might, to someone else, just look like a black square pair of glasses, but they're awesome. You love them. And that's that experience that we're trying to sell. Because our frames aren't made in their millions. They aren't whittled one by one. They're solid. They're robust. And I think that's the thing that attracts most of our male customers, is just that build quality, you know?
Yeah. And why do you think that's so important to you, to be doing stuff of that quality? Is that something that's just always been on the table for you? You were like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. Yeah,
definitely. I think we've always been focused on making them better, like better than the stuff you find in Specsavers or whatever. It's just, we've just become kind of obsessed with it, really.
People let's always talk about being different. I think it's really easy to be different. Just make it pink. But it's difficult. It's so much harder to be better.
Yeah.
And it's things like I said, like the articulation, the construction, the fact that going back to what I was talking about earlier, where we were talking about with Lucy shooting those cores. It's like how they're shot, you know, the way the frame, like just the interaction, the sensory experience of it all. It's just such a huge point of differentiation. Like you look back at like Gucci or Boss when they first started out, and people knew it was a Boss suit by the way it was cut. Like now you have to put a logo on it to tell the difference.
Yeah, 100%. So what was it that was so important, or what was it that you'd done to, or how is it that you do it to convey to customers with only being on e-commerce? So it's one thing we really struggle with. People are like 18 quid for a magazine. It's like when it delivers and the postman like thumps it down or like smashes it through the letterbox or something. You know, it's a book.
Yeah.
And we kind of missed the mark when we started. We were like, we're doing this magazine, and now we're like trying to retract every conversation that we ever said magazine in.
I say magazine myself.
We still do it all the time. But so what do you actively do to try and, or to get customers on board with that? How have you found that? Because it's really difficult in e-commerce, isn't it? I think it's something all makers find.
What did you say the other day? Everyone says their stuff's good quality. Everything's good quality.
Well, it's like quality this. It's very hard. It's a very noisy space. Obviously, eyewear's hugely saturated. Like 70% of people buy their glasses at Specsavers. So it's really tough to kind of convey that online. I think we try and sell the sort of, we call it like kind of the romance. Obviously, we've spoken about like how we make, and we're trying now to maybe come out a little bit more, like and make people realize it's actually two people making these.
This is Banton Frameworks.
This is us, and this is our kind of like tactic for the next little while to see how that goes. Obviously, because we're only kind of now just foraying into Facebook marketing and stuff like that. We've basically just kind of avoided it because we've been completely consumed with making them.
Yeah.
Now we have to really kind of learn and get really good at selling them, to be quite honest. And yeah, I think it's the photography, it's how we tell the story. Obviously we're trying our best to do video, all that kind of stuff to sort of explain, but not like in a sort of matter of fact, because it's really easy to just reel off stats of, oh, it's made from 8mm of this and our hinges are made of this, and you know, it's quite dry.
But it's made by you two.
Yeah, it's
like
more
that's
the
your
romance.
story.
Yeah,
like, and I
Yes.
think that's what a lot of makers struggle is like, actually I keep showing my products but I'm not showing me. And that's what we're learning is people want to see the person behind it, so maybe get some film of you guys, you know,
yeah.
making.
It's people buy from people, not
yeah.
And I think
People
it's
buy people first. Yeah, totally. I think that's something we've hidden behind. I mean, just I'm sure there's other makers listening to this, and to your point, you know, the people who put so much pride, work, obsession, sweat, blood, tears, literally sweat, blood, and tears into what they do. You know, it's all about like the end result of that, but that isn't always necessarily the value. And you're right. I think that we, truthfully, probably have been too reluctant or shy in the past. But I think that's come from our obsession with the process of learning how to do it all. But after literally a decade, last month now, it's the first. Yeah, 10 years, September, you know, we have arrived at a place where like we know what we're doing is, you know, remarkable. It's exceptional and it is good. But I think there's makers on that journey who are already doing that at a very early stage, like, you know, pottery, ceramics, leather work. They've got those skills already. Like we took a long time to be able to do what we can do. And I think the recognition of the fact that you're the value, there is only one you. And I think leaning on that a bit more, because that is one of your big points of differentiation. And it's something that I think we haven't done enough of. And like I said, if there's anyone listening who's on this journey, I think being more confident in that, because I think it's quite easy to point the camera the other way, away from you and towards the thing you've done, rather than the other way around, point it back.
Yeah, what you said there's so valuable, because I guess when I'm flicking through your Instagram, I'm like, who are these people? Like, I see their product, but I don't see too much of you guys. And that's, what we're trying to do with the podcast is like get the camera in,
Lift the
let's
lid
show
off
you.
a bit.
Yeah.
Like
It wasn't even the podcast though. It was everything
it
We
was
Are
everything,
Makers,
I know,
wasn't it?
I know.
It was like you were very, very strict at the start that your view was tell the people's story. Like it's almost like you could take away the fact that you could drop out the glasses part of your whole interview and We Are Makers, and it's just like this is this really cool story about two people that make things.
Yep.
You know, so that's kind of what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
And so far, it might work. Hopefully,
It's
it works.
definitely working.
Fingers crossed.
Definitely.
So, what medias are you using to portray that? Then is it you guys are Instagram as well? We've obviously got your Instagram. Is that your main go to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's because we naturally use it.
Yeah.
Like we are users of that.
Yeah.
I think it's very difficult to go into a platform like, for example, like TikTok, for example, if you don't.
You have to relearn it. You need to learn how to use it.
And if it doesn't quite excite you as a user, I think it's very difficult to kind of, you know, try and promote yourself on that. But yeah, Instagram is definitely our go-to. Quite like Pinterest as well.
And are you
Our
on
stuff does-
Pinterest?
Yeah,
Are
we're
you?
doing relatively well on Pinterest. But I
So
think
we've
it's
been
because
looking at this for a while, haven't
we
we?
should really go onto Pinterest.
I just don't understand it. It's just another thing that I don't have capacity for.
The one from like a sort of matter of fact kind of sort of perspective, Pinterest is the world's best visual search engine. It's more sophisticated than Google. Like Google's don't get me wrong, they've just launched Google Lens.
Okay.
Which is like
Never heard
a
of it.
version of like searching through images on Google. It's getting more intelligent. It's Google. It's always going to be getting more intelligent.
Yeah.
But Pinterest, they really had their true core value always from the very beginning is essentially finding more images that look like this image that you have liked.
Wow.
Whereas Google wasn't quite as good as that. So if you're doing a visually aesthetically pleasing thing, or you want to look for inspiration, which is essentially what Pinterest is for, visually, like decor, home DIY, makeup, could be anything. Like Pinterest is like essentially the world's best visual search engine. From a maker's perspective, it can be really good because you can sell that romance, you can sell that story. That we do quite well with that, but we also use it for like other purposes like SEO and things like that. So yeah, I think Pinterest is a good one for us anyway.
And when you say doing well, is it sales well, or is it just getting people onto the website, or sales?
Traffic.
Yeah,
Oh,
pushing
traffic
traffic
through,
through. Yeah, it's much better for pushing traffic compared to any other social platform that we've experienced. Anyway,
Hey,
even
we
like
need
Instagram.
to get onto Pinterest.
Yeah, it's our top
Anyone
social
else
referrer.
interested?
If you
Yeah.
go into our stats on our back end of our site, it's without doubt the best
That's
by far.
incredible,
Mhm.
actually.
Yeah.
And I think as well, it's one of the few, I don't know conclusively, but it's one of the few still seems to get like a lot of organic search, not like paid. I mean, obviously they do have ads on there now, but you're still getting organic visibility.
Which is an
Um,
old school thing,
Mhm,
especially
yeah.
considering how old Pinterest is.
Mhm.
Like TikTok's going crazy at the moment because obviously it's so cheap to advertise on there. It's this new tool.
Yeah.
Eventually, we all know it's going to end up pay to play.
Yeah.
And it'll die a death. So you might as well just ride the wave now. But with Pinterest, it still has that element of organic to it, which is a rare thing. Like SEO is something obviously that we practice every day. And Pinterest, like Google, is one of the few ways nowadays you can swap your time for traffic rather than paying for it if you do the right things. And if you know how to optimize stuff for Pinterest, if anyone's listening to this who genuinely doesn't know, like look into how to optimize things like images and stuff.
Yeah. If
So-
anyone sat across the table for you that genuinely doesn't know, look into it.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be us.
Yeah, just like there's tutorials online, like it's all out there for free. If you know how to like write alt text, how to optimize an image, how to describe something in a way that's going to get you found by your audience, by your tribe, that's going to benefit you. And if you get into the habit of doing that, both through blog posts, vlogs, you name it, or Pinterest, it's going to benefit you. It all adds up.
That's something we need to get onto, is the Pinterest side of things for sure, and learning more about that.
Yeah, we keep going back to it, and it's just another thing I need to learn. I'll do it
It is.
next
It's
week.
just another thing. So I mean, how do you guys work that time out? Because it is another thing, isn't it? Everything's just another thing on top of. And one thing that I think that we really hope these podcasts do bring to light is that you're not just making, like in your case, you're not just making.
We try to
glasses
do as
frames.
little making as possible. It's all about trying to get the word out.
That's exactly
We're
it.
a marketing department that just so happens to make and sell glasses frames. That's the way it works.
That's a great way to put it. That is an absolutely fantastic way to put it. And it's one thing that we're really hoping that people realise listening to these podcasts and seeing the book is that like, the making part of it is such a small bit of it.
It's like an F1 race. DHL cart around 20 cars, or technically 40 cars, around the world every weekend to go and race around tracks. And all we see is Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen for 88 laps going around that track on a Sunday, and we go, that's F1. No, it's not.
No.
F1 is a thousands of people operation that are doing stuff all week before the race even happens. That's where the work happens. That's where the magic happens. And the romance of sitting down and making a frame, that's just the end result. That's going around in the car, getting to do the corners. That's the romance. That's the highlight reel.
Yeah.
The reality is especially if you're wanting to sell things online today or through a shop, if you're wanting on Facebook ads, through Pinterest, whatever, all the work happens behind the scenes. It's the optimization, it's the infrastructure that you set up, and you're only as good as the systems you put in place. You making frames is that's just like a bonus.
Yeah. So do you find yourself you're spending way more time on all of that now? Yeah.
We didn't pay for Facebook ads until last year.
We've dabbled on and off over the years, but we've kind of made
didn't take
a
it
bit of a
seriously.
conscious choice to sort of make an effort this year and go no, we need to make it sort of repeatable. I think that's our main focus. Just the same as we've done with the making of frames is selling them on a repeated basis. Whereas before we were just focused on organic traffic and basically things would sell and you'd be like, oh, that's great, and it would kind of grow. And then, but it's kind of how can we control this now? How can we
Dimmer switch.
Yeah, how can we find more customers? How do we find more of the people who are buying our frames and who, understand and appreciate what it is that we're doing?
Yeah, I agree. I think we've spent so long mastering how to do it, but we the way we describe it in our timeline is for about 8 years it was machines, and now it's marketing. And people think it's a bit weird how we managed to survive for so long just off organic, but we kind of hit this threshold of monthly sales per month where thereabout, we'll make those sales just through organic,
Right.
which is how we started. You know, like we just did a really good job of like getting our name out there organically through SEO, things like that, word of mouth. But the one thing we'd never quite cracked was the paid ads side of things. And that's obviously changed quite a lot. For anyone listening, obviously, who is into that, they'll know about iOS 14, the big update that's just wrecked Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Apparently.
That's exactly what we found last month with Shaka Social stuff, isn't it? It's just...
This has been a funny year though, and obviously the pandemic hasn't helped as well. So like we had like 3 years of just like chaos. But the baseline that's always seen us through is organic. And if you can get that right, you can sleep easier at night. Yeah. That's why you guys figuring out Pinterest would be a good idea.
Yeah.
And creating content that has like evergreen value. Because I think something that a lot of people get wrong in the start is like trying to simulate like big brands who've got the resources to write about something topical and it's over in a week. You know, it's like writing about so-and-so was wearing this pair of glasses last Friday and like it's already old news by the end of the week.
Yeah.
There's just no point trying to create, well, in my opinion, trying to create content like that, especially if you're starting out. It's about creating content that's evergreen that people can find you with. That'll serve you in the long run. It's like, if I'm going to sit down and write a post or create a video, it's like, will this serve me in 2 or 3 years' time? If you can accumulate that kind of content, you know, that's how we were getting people to find us and, you know, putting in that kind of work.
That's well for us. It's really say I'm just taking it all in for getting more podcasts. And just being like, this is what we need to start doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, what does the day to day look like for you? Have you got very separate roles, or is all your roles very interchangeable? How does that look?
Yeah, we do kind of split ourselves in two. I'm more workshop orientated.
Right.
I seem to at the moment take on more of the production, like machining and stuff like that, whereas you are far more like social, emails, SEO, that kind of stuff, even like customer.
Yeah, like customer service. Yeah.
So good to have both of you doing it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, because it gives that balance of you could do with that and I could do with that, and it
Yeah.
just makes it easier.
Yeah.
We play to our strengths. I mean, obviously, when we're in here and there's a batch of frames on, it's like we might as well not exist. Like, don't try calling me. My dad was moaning at me last night. I'd be like, I can never get a hold of you. It's like, because I'm in the workshop. It's loud. Yeah. You know, like there are intense phases of like, you know, you're physically drained by the end of it.
If you're distracted, then your flow's disrupted.
Yeah, exactly. But on a day-to-day, yeah, like I'll be answering emails, speaking to customers, glazing frames, ordering lenses, you know, dispatching frames, working on like basically storytelling, email marketing, stuff like that. That's kind of like most of my day-to-day. At the moment, we're going through quite an intense phase of like back-end stuff for the website, constantly keeping that polished and sharp, because at the end of the day, that's our vehicle to make sales. Yep. It's not like, you know, we don't just send our frames off to a shop somewhere. Yeah. You know, we're responsible for that. In terms of production, yeah, Lucy's very much more on the. Whenever we start a batch of frames, it starts with Lucy. Like I won't see her for about a week and a half. She'll be down here machining because that's how it starts. The sheets of acetate come in through the door. It lands in your lap. They have to be cut into the frames, which is what your main responsibility. Obviously, there's processes that I'll do that Lucy won't do in terms of the production. So that there is a division in the production side of things, but there's your jobs and there's my jobs for sure. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. It definitely does. And what does the work day do? Are you super strict with your work? You start at this time, finish at this time. You always take your lunch break.
Yeah,
what does that look like?
Regimental.
Yeah, family members take the piss out of us. How regimented, like my mum used to say,
That's
was
good.
like you could set your clock by us, and like when we have our lunch, because it's every day same time.
We are
like
big
that.
on ritual. Not people say routine's like a killer of creativity. It's like, no, routine gives you the opportunity to be creative. It's a freeing thing. So you see people who like think they're like a free spirit who just wander through life making things, beautiful bits of art. I'm just like, nah. Like I'm up at the exact same time every day. I eat the same thing every morning. Like it's your mum said, you know, when she was still with us, that like you could set our watch to what we were doing at the time. Yeah.
I think that's really important. I'm definitely very regimented like that. You are regimented, but we tend to work in very opposite sides. Like I'm great early in the morning. If I can get up and get 4 or 5 jobs done, you know, before the world starts moving at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm having a good day.
Yeah.
Whereas you're non-functionable at that time, are you? But
I
then,
prefer working at the evening.
But the thing is, though, that's good though, because there's a yin to the yang.
absolutely. And then it comes 7, 8 at 9, I'm burnt out.
Done.
I've started early, I'm done. I'm either going to the gym or I'm sitting in front of the TV or I'm doing some like really boring admin stuff. Like I can't do it. But then you just like hype up the whole time.
Yeah.
Do you guys work on the same sort of schedule, or is there a bit of a overlap
We,
there?
we live together, we work together, we are together. Like,
How do you find that? Because a lot of people are like, how do you do that? Because they say that to us. It's like, I guess, I don't know. It's been like, what, 11 years now? It just feels life. You just get on with it.
I find it a bit odd. Couples who say to me, I can't believe you work with your partner. And I'm like,
I can't believe you couldn't work with your partner. That's the whole
like
point
you're
of having a
married
partner.
to them
See,
or whatever.
I'm of the same ilk as you guys. Like I find it really
I think
weird
it's a
when
bit
people
weird.
say that.
What was it? We get that comment a lot, or used to when we started out. It's like, oh, I can't. Like, how can you do that? I'd kill my husband or whatever. And I'm just like,
Sure,
so
that's
you're
your
telling me
husband.
that you can't share responsibilities, challenges, adversity, and success with the person that you say is your partner?
Yeah.
That's literally what I say to them. It's like, I'm not
They're
trying
like,
to be rude or disruptive or like antagonistic, but like, listen to what you're saying.
Yeah.
You basically saying you can't be a teammate with your teammate.
Yeah.
Like, you're fucked. You're on your own.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's super weird. Like we've always found, like, don't get me wrong, yeah, things get heated and we have different ways of doing things, but it's kind of the whole point of it, isn't it?
It's funny. People, like, we don't have kids yet, and I'm like, there's elements to this. Like, I don't need to have had kids to say this, but there are things that we have had to go through together in this journey of running this business that I know have set me in good stead for another future chapter of my life, be it having children or whatever. And like, people often ask, like, are you married, or like, you got kids? Like, oh, just wait till you've got kids. Like, just you wait till you start a business.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And like, it's different challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we've gone through the ringer for various reasons. Like, everyone says that when starting a business, everyone's journey is different. We've had our challenges for sure. We've got our scars, but yeah, like, there's no one else that you should be leaning on more than your partner. If you can't trust them in the darkest moments, like,
you're gonna have the highs and the lows.
yeah, you gotta ride that storm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if they understand exactly what it is, because they're also doing it, like what better way is there?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Calm seas never make good sailors.
There you are.
Got all heated and passionate in this one. I love it.
No, it's true. Like,
No, it's absolutely true. That is
one of our
a bit
good
of a knowledge
friends,
bomb there.
one of our good friends, Chris, and you're right, it is quite heated, but it's something I just strongly feel about, because Chris, one of our friends, Chris, he runs a company down in Manchester called Ajoto.
Mm-hmm.
He makes these beautiful pens, and he had a business partner where he started out, and this might sound familiar to people listening, you know, like, you've got someone that maybe you want to start a business with, or you're running a business with, but he unfortunately got kind of let down. His business partner walked away. I think he just kind of didn't go the way they wanted it to, and he was left on his own to like start what I thought. I mean, it was a really successful business, still is. He's doing a really good job. But he just felt like he was really on his own. And something he said to me, going back to our conversation about working with your partner, was like, I just wish I had someone to do that with and share that with. And I think at first it was his friend, you know, his buddy. I can't remember his name. But I think what he was really meaning was like a partner, like, you know, someone he could share not only his job with and his passion with, but also his life with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he has now finally met somebody, Marta, and it's really nice because he's now got his version of a Lucy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know.
That's cute.
And it's cute and sweet and all that. But I totally heard what he was saying. Like, I could not imagine doing this on my own. There's no way I'd be doing this on my own.
Yeah. And
there's no one else I'd rather do it with. And that's the thing. You got to find someone you're willing to go through the trenches with, because COVID's taught us that. Currently right now we're looking over the edge of a recession. Like, life ain't easy.
No.
And if you've got someone you can trust and to go through that with, then all the better, because you need it. You're only as good as the people that surround you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Absolutely. I'm a big advocate of this. You know, the 5 people you surround yourself with, you're
The average.
You're the average of all that.
And it's so true. I've started to learn that as I've got older. Just like surround yourself with people who, you know, want to learn about you and like, you know, experience things with you, not just like, so what are you up to today? Oh, I'm going to do something with the magazine. You're like, what? They don't have, they have just no clue.
Or okay, yeah, that sounds cool. Listen to me about my day. You know that, and you very quick. Those people, I think I think business is a catalyst to that. When you've got a business that is your business and your life and everything around it, those people very quickly drop off.
You taught me that big time. I think, Lucy, my interpretation of one of your traits is that you have a very small circle. And before I started running the business with Lucy, I had a really big circle, just because I'm just by
We're
nature
opposites.
more gregarious.
Aye.
But you're right. When you're running a business, like, your circle is you. You are the average of those 5 people. And if you want to get fitter friends. If you want to get richer friends.
Yep.
It's iron sharpens iron. We talk about this all the time, that you are the culture that you create for yourself.
Yep.
If you have friends that make it okay to go out and get pissed on a Saturday, and then you write off your Sunday, that's what you're going to do. That's up to you. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you have friends who write magazines or create content, and they've got to go, hey, I can't come out tonight because I've got something on tomorrow, you understand, because they're doing the same stuff as you.
Yes.
You make that okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
No, and it's something that you often go on, like when we first 11 years ago got together, and it's like, but you've not got a lot of friends. But then, like, and even now, each friend I've got is doing something I aspire to be. Like, whether they're way fitter than me and I'd rather be fitter, whether they're way better on a mountain bike than me and I'd rather be that, or whether they're way better at business than me and I'd rather be that. You know, and I think it's important. And I think, certainly from a business point of view, it's important.
It sounds very transactional though, but it is true. Like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
And like, that's the other thing as well. This is something we haven't done yet. We talk about this quite a lot. It's a big, big stage for us. It's actually employing people.
Mm.
And one of my biggest fears, it's not just handing over control, because I know you're scared about that, trusting someone to do something, but it's also the element of, I don't want to employ someone who knows less than me.
Mhm.
I want somebody who's better than me.
Yeah.
Because like, what's the point? I might as well just do it myself.
So true.
Because that's one thing like we're kind of hung up on, is like, it is going to be hard finding people, because we're going to have to teach them how to make frames. But there's also, I don't think those people will come first. I think the first people will hire people who can help us with other elements, like our weaknesses,
Yeah.
marketing, things we can't do as well. Because at the moment right now, there is no one better than us, probably this side of the border, who is as good at making frames as we are.
Yeah. But then that makes the bar even higher to try and find someone to come in on that,
Yeah.
isn't it? I'm very aware. So I've got the engineering side of the business as well, and we've got a couple of guys, boys that work for me, and I look at every single one of them when we're interviewing and taking them on and being like it took me 7 years to be as good a designer as I am now. And every one of them I'm looking thinking, could you be there? Could you be where I am now in 3 years? And that's my blanket statement. Like, if I look at these lads and Alex and Arthur and look at them and like, in 3 years, you could be doing exactly what I'm doing. You'll be that good. Get you on. And that it's as simple as that for me. I think if you're not looking at it that way, it's difficult though, isn't it? Because it's your thing as well. So it's really difficult to be like, I want someone better than me. You know, it's quite a rare attitude you guys have got. Because there's also a lot of people that are like no, this is me. Laura Bartlett was spoke to
On the magazine
on
street
Thursday night on the
Strange
magazine
hearing
street.
someone else the same surname as me. There isn't many folk with the same surname as me.
No way, really?
Well, the only person of prominence right now currently who shares my surname is someone on Dragon's Den.
Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah.
She was saying that last day. He's like, he's
Yeah.
got the same.
She didn't
surname.
like him because she had the same.
Hold on,
same
Laura.
surname.
I'm sure I went to uni. We went to uni with a Laura Bartlett. She was, different course, but rings a bell. Is Laura?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
runs House of Cocoa. It's a magazine.
I'll have to look
Travel
up on
and
LinkedIn.
lifestyle. She's a really lovely lady. Like, we were just sitting there
How
all
old's
night.
she?
Like, she must be in her 30s.
Early 30s,
Yeah, so she's probably same.
That sounds about right. Could be her. She only got one T at the end of her name.
No idea.
This is of no interest to
I
anyone
know,
listening.
this is
Sorry.
We should check it out though, because it'd be interesting to know. But yeah, so she put up a slide at the end of her talk about like the way she employs people, and to her it was all about she wants to give these content creators like the best life possible. She's flying them out places to do content for her and put them in the book and put them in the magazine. And when you look at all them, it's like, surely that's an irresponsible way to employ people
But
based
what
on
was the points?
statistics.
Yeah,
and-
what was the points? They were quite
It was
relevant.
basically all the points were basically like, I want them to have fun at the job. I want them to be better at me. I want them to be, just like an extension of her. Like, she viewed all her employees as an extension of her, and I thought, and she's fantastic. Like her magazine's doing very, very well, and it's like that's somebody that's not the usual employ people to do job to make you revenue, and it seems to have just stuck for her, doesn't it? Like,
It's a balancing thing though, because we Mary Porter spoke about that, about trusting your instincts a bit more. Like, it's really easy to look at numbers all the time, especially when we can measure everything. Like, any app you download, you've got a bloody dashboard giving you fucking metrics. And it's just like, life just doesn't work like that. There
You
are
get
some
too
people,
hung up on that.
oh, big time. You just get swallowed by the data. Yeah.
Especially when you don't understand it, you're like, oh, I don't know what this means.
Even if you have the time to understand it.
Yeah.
Because it's just numbers on a screen. I think it's getting that right, that balance. Because there's people who will come along who may not have the resume or the CV or whatever. You may not have the experience, but they've got the right attitude.
That was her. I don't even look at CVs. I just look at their attitude.
It's funny. We listened to another podcast about, I think it was a Steve Bartlett podcast. He's talking about these guys trying to make it for the Man U team. They obviously hadn't been signed for the Man U team. And one of the tests they had, I'm not into football, by the way. I'm probably going to butcher this for anyone who's into football. And one of the things they looked for when they were scouting them, there we go, that's the word, is if they, at the end of the practice, like, who was picking up the bibs, who was taking in the cones, who was, making sure like everyone was there.
Using their initiative to just go and do it.
Yeah, they
don't have to be asked.
Yeah, exactly. Folk who were taking out the bins without getting asked. That's a big thing for me, taking out the bins. Because it's like that team culture thing. And like, culture is this weird word at the moment. You listen to people talk about work culture all the time, like culture. Like, there's two of us, we run a wee business. Culture, like, there is a culture between us. Don't get me wrong, but like, culture, we're not running Uber, for Christ's sake.
No.
But I think though that it's like the standards you set, the people you attract, like good people doing good things will attract good customers. I genuinely believe that. Don't get me wrong, it's been tested along the way. Like, is anyone going to buy my stuff? Or is anyone reading my blogs?
Yeah.
Is anyone on my website who's reading my Instagram reels? Like, is there any point in me doing these posts?
Yep.
But if you genuinely believe that, because if you can't believe in it yourself, who is? Yeah. And I think that culture comes from the inside out.
But do you not think it's getting quite transparent now? The people that maybe portrayed a good culture, like with, certainly like we talked about stories earlier, and with people constantly posting so frequently, it's really easy for people to trip up now. If you're constantly following someone, like really engaged with their content, I think it's becoming easier to notice the chinks in their armor on Instagrams, and because it's really easy to polish it all out, isn't it? But I think is it becoming easier, or is it the people that are genuinely just honest people just seem to be a step further ahead?
I think
don't know.
For me, I think it's something that we're yet to do, I think, properly, is like actually be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think there's one person, dare I say, you might want to speak to him, may have already spoken to him, is John O'Smart, the potter.
Yes, he's going to be in our next one.
He's in the next edition, and we've got a podcast booked in November.
I am in tune.
Yeah.
I am in tune with this.
Yeah.
So John O'Smart, he's a really nice chap. We've met him once before in Glasgow whilst he was still here. He's obviously moved up to Angus now. He is just a case in point example of being vulnerable.
He was the other day on his Instagram. He was saying like,
we responded to that actually.
Yeah, we did.
We have we followed him for years, and we've just watched him grow, obviously. But yeah, I remember we were just having a conversation at lunch about something, and I literally looked at his story, and he was like, "This didn't maybe go quite as well as I thought it was gonna," and I was like, "Oh." Look, we're not the only people who are struggling.
Yeah.
Digging a bit deeper into that though, because again, like, people listen to this, not only other makers, but people who may be considering making things, who's presumably your main audience. The topic that Lucy just referred to was the fact that this year has been messed up. And Jono, if anyone who doesn't know who he is, he's a really, really well-known potter on Instagram. He's got like 125,000 followers. And he put out a post. He's very successful. He put out a post. He opened his shop selling his pots and tableware, plates, and things like that he makes. And it's like one of the first few sales he's done in a long time that haven't sold out in minutes.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What is going on?"
He took some time out, didn't he? It was like because he had a child. That's another priority.
But that wasn't really what he was getting at. Although that is obviously a significant factor in his life. It's just, in my opinion, an accurate reflection of what's going on right now in the world in terms of the economic situation that we're currently in. I know in a few years' time, people think, what's this guy talking about? Obviously, he put that out, and his community that he has built around his business on Instagram responded. We responded because he's right. This year has been a bit weird. We're all a bit worried, cost of living, whatever. And
And we need to talk about it.
We do, absolutely.
Not
And
everything's great behind the
some
Instagram.
people, some people are better at doing that than others. We're by nature not particularly forthcoming like that.
No, I wouldn't say
No.
we are either. Like, you don't want to share that
It's-
things aren't that great. You know, why would you want to
It feels
share
like
that?
weakness.
Yeah.
It does.
Mm.
And I think there's like this preconceived thing of it's just always been the way that, oh, they say they're struggling, they must not be good at it. But it's no. Like, you can be really bloody good. Like, John was, I would go as far as to say, prolific as a potter on Instagram. He's wicked. Like, his stuff's really good. Like, even Bert, who I consider very, very good potter, was like, he's the gold standard. And he's saying he's struggling. So it's not that he's not good.
Do you know the thing about Jono is like, and this is I hope this comes across well if he's listening to this, wow. But like
He will.
he like us, he wasn't a potter. He was a landscape gardener from what I remember. That's what he used to do.
He was in gardening.
He'd never
garden
sat-
design, I think it was.
Yeah, he'd never sat at a wheel before, the same way we'd never made a frame before. And he was just like, I'm just going to do this. And like, his dad he's not from a lineage of potters down south, Stratford upon Avon. His dad's dad was a potter. Like, he just did it and he's nailed it. But I think the thing about Jono is don't get me wrong, his pots are good, beautiful. But he is, in my opinion, like an exemplary example of storytelling, vulnerability, and just being him and telling that really, really well. And there's you can be really good at making something, but if you can't talk about it or sell that, like, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about making anything or running any business is communication, human connection, emotion. Because I can go and buy plates and cups from IKEA.
Yep.
But I want Jono's one because he's fallen in love with the story.
Yes.
And he does that so well. And I
He's
think
good at communicating. Like,
big time.
he's just like, I've never been a public speaker, and we just did a talk magazine street in Edinburgh, and she asked me a few months ago whether I wanted to come and talk about the publication. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't want to be standing up on a stage talking about what we're doing. As much as I love it, like, that's just not something I feel comfortable doing. And then I changed my mind. I says, no, we need to share the story, because they need to know who's behind it. And the amount of people that came after us and was like, I didn't know about that, and I didn't know about this, and just sharing more of your story. Like, people want to know about it.
Yeah. I think the one I've always been, this is maybe a bit more me than it is you, but like, see if you're scared by something, like fear and excitement are next door neighbors.
Yeah.
I've always said that. And people who like to maybe push themselves are quite good at tricking themselves into thinking that fear is actually excitement. They're they're bedfellows.
Yeah.
And if you get good at doing that, oh no, like, do you know what, I'll take that talk, or we'll make those reels, and maybe actually people can see who makes the frames at Banton Frameworks. You just don't know.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to happen. And I think it's just taking these little like we talk about placing bets on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, you could take the night off. Like, is that a bet? No. You could put out some reels and see what happens. It might not go very well, but at least you put the bet on.
Experimenting. Yeah.
The only thing that's guaranteed, if you don't give it a try, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's the only guarantee in life, is if you don't give it a try, it's not going to work.
Yeah, there's a theory about this. I've read about it recently. I spoke to you about it last night even. It's like, if something's out with your capabilities by about 4%, it's in the Goldilocks zone, because it isn't too difficult that you'll not do it or you'll fail, but it's not so close to your comfort zone that you're like, oh, what's the point? I can do it already.
Right.
I don't know how you measure that 4%.
Yeah, that's
but
the next
if
question.
it's just within reach, that's what keeps pulling you along. That's the carrot on the end of the stick. So like, talking on podcasts for you guys, something you do all the time. So what's the difference between that and public speaking?
See, when he suggested podcasts, I was like, that means we actually have to speak to people and go outside. But yeah, no, it was just something that we needed to do. We just felt like we needed to do it.
I just think, like, if there's just something within reach that you think you could maybe do, if you're even already thinking about whatever it might be, like starting your own business or public speaking, or maybe I'll try unicycling. It doesn't matter. Like, I can already ride a bike, so let's try one wheel instead of two.
Yeah.
It's very
You know
just
what I mean?
that step of
Just within
going a wee
reach.
bit further.
Just within reach.
Yeah.
1%.
I think certainly we are makers, like the podcast thing and the talk thing definitely was like, do it for the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, do it for the business. Has there been anything like that for you guys? It's just been like, I really don't want to do it, but I'm going to have to do it for the sake of Banton.
Well, like paying tax or
Yeah, let's not talk about tax, not publicly. Because I think the business, you put so much time into it, it motivates you to then do the next thing, doesn't it?
Something that we were like, we have to do this. That's tough. Do you know, that's a really difficult question. I think usually the hard thing to do is the right thing to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
If you have to think about it too much, you're already making it a chore. So we're quite like on top of stuff. So it's not like things that like we begrudgingly do. I mean, obviously there's everyone, no matter what, even if you love your job, there's bits to it that you just don't like doing. But I don't know. That's a really tough question.
I can't think of it.
Reword that. Like, what do you mean?
So there's certain things like the talk for Kate. If it wasn't a talk about We Are Makers, if she didn't feel that the business, she had to do it for the business, she would never have done it. Like Kate's confidence because of We Are Makers has come on so much, and it's because she's always been pushing herself. It's almost like We Are Makers is an entity behind her that she's like, I can't let that person down. Do you know what I mean? The business almost becomes an entity that you can't let down.
Accountability.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. I don't know. Have you forced yourself recently? Like,
I think maybe the Channel 5 thing.
The Channel 5 thing, yeah.
That's probably our biggest challenge. Because we've never done anything like that before. Where kind of how it's made, sort of.
Cool.
Called? I can't remember what they're called.
I'm pretty sure it's how
It was
it's made, something like that.
something along those. I don't even know what it's called, but yeah, it was for kids TV, which was quite different.
The
for
reason
us.
why we took that on though, yeah, it was a kids TV program. It's showing how things are made,
That's
and we were like,
really cool.
Yeah, it was cool, but
yeah, it was tough though.
it was tough because normally we'd be like, I just want to just get on with my day.
Yeah, we're quite bad for that. I think we're just like single track mind kind of people.
Another thing is networking. Do you do much of that?
No,
because that's
used
something
to.
that we don't.
Yeah,
But we should be doing more of it.
we're pretty bad for that. I think we just are like, are we going to see an immediate return for that? Probably not. And we are quite. We used to do it a lot more.
I mean, that's
used
a
to
good
go
business
to-
head.
Yeah, we kind of.
It's just the ROI and going for coffee. You know what I mean?
I think we used to do it a lot more. We were more involved in things like Business Gateway, Prince's Trust, going to Glasgow Commerce, City,
Yeah,
thing?
Chamber of Commerce, yeah.
that stuff, and like all these kind of things, and then we just kind of cut them out. Like after about 3-4 years, we're
Even
just
going
like,
down to Design Junction, how we started going to the London Design Week. Like we would do that annually. It was like exactly this time of year, trees are starting to change colour. Oh, we're going to go down to London. We're going to do a week down there selling our frames. And we stopped that as well. It sounds like we were receded, but I think we were seeing results in areas of our business where if we put in X, we were going to get out Y. And there's other things that it felt like gambling almost.
Design shows and trade shows are very different. Like they require a lot of time and energy and money, and like is it worth it? I don't know. Maybe
it's that
I've done
thing
it a
like
few
you said
times
though,
and-
Lucy, isn't it? It's will you see the immediate ROI? But then someone might go and buy that, but it's a metric you can't really.
That it's like getting a publication in a magazine, a feature in GQ or something. Like you can't track it, you can't trace it. But did it make that sale last week or those sales last week? And I think it's really easy to fall into the trap of the data. It's like if I put in 1, I'll get out 2, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But you can't. There's certain unseens. It's kind of like in a relationship. It's just like I will take out the bins. That's kind of. If no one wants to do it, it's the same way like eating steamed broccoli, but it's good for you.
Yeah.
Going out and talking to people is always going to be good for you. But I think it's easy to fall into the trap of like, no, if I keep doing this, so that's going to be good for me. And networking is one of those things where you're just like, there's no measurable way of really. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know if that conversation is going to lead to anything.
So like the Thursday the magazine conference was amazing. Like I really enjoyed it. Just being in a room full of people who are going through the same things and talking about how they started and where they're going, and even just like suppliers as well that you wouldn't have met before, which was really good for us. I think we have a good team of people who we work with now that are all freelance or different companies, but to be in one space together was really nice.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that actually. So us sitting here, we don't do podcasts very often. I think this is our 3rd ever, technically. And like, even on an emotional level, it's almost a degree of like catharsis. There's like a degree of therapy to that. And it's another opportunity for us to hone our story, which sounds quite selfish, but it's true because we're verbalizing what it is we did, how we started. And, that's an opportunity to kind of sharpen those knives in a way.
It is. It absolutely is. So you talk about the catharsis of it there. Do you find yourselves, how are you between, you obviously live and work together, are you quite good at the catharsis between yourselves of stuff you're struggling with in your own separate parts of the business? or do you just kind of crack on and see it as one joint issue? So for the reason I'm asking is to justify it. So I hit the roof really quick. Like if something's annoying me, it stresses me out, and almost to a point where I'm like not functionable. Whereas Kate's very much step back. Yes, it's frustrating. Chilled out. Work through the problem. Are you both the same, or are you different? Is there a catharsis in chatting about the problems between yourself?
Saturday mornings. Remember what I said to you?
Yeah, we do usually spend Saturday and Sunday just
So
talking things through. But
Saturday mornings, round about now, funnily enough, what we're doing right now, we'll like let the lid off a little bit. It's just we'd sit down over a long coffee and just like sometimes we just vent or come up with ideas.
And that's something it's in the calendar
No,
every Saturday morning.
No, that isn't, but we know what happens anyway, so technically
Right,
yeah, it
okay.
probably is
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
But there's like, it sounds kind of crazy, but for example, if Lucy's down here machining frames, or even when we're sitting on our laptops doing stuff like that, we won't speak for hours, even though we're sitting opposite each other.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, because you're in the zone, like you're getting shit done, you know? But then at the end of the day, I don't care what anyone says, like as a business owner, you have to be thinking the next thing. You've maybe got ideas. What if we tried this, tried that? And like we generally take Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings to sit and talk about ideas. Not all of them come to life.
Yeah.
We also talk about things that have happened. And you mentioned like catharsis is like just talking about how you feel about certain things. Is that going the way you want it to? Like, do you think sales, how do you feel about sales? I mean, like talking about how you feel about sales.
But as a thing, it's like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
week, what did we do this week that was different from last week that maybe
Mhm.
it helped us improve, or it's got worse, or, you know, you do have to talk about these things.
Yeah, but
I
that's our
think-
phases. Like right now, you're kind of, you know, we're talking about laying it out and being honest. Like I'm a bit more of like an open book. But, you know, right recently we've been kind of maybe like the fire for making, like the passion for making frames, or the thrill of doing it is kind of wavering at the moment.
yeah, I think it's more I feel like not that we've mastered it. I think that's a bit silly to say because we
Oh, we'll never
haven't.
get
But
there.
no, but like I think it's maybe like the buzz of the next thing.
Mm.
Like I feel like we've kind of sort of figured our processes out. We've still got a few ideas of what we want to do differently and stuff
But
like
for
that.
so
but
long, you've been
yeah, it's like we
learning
kind
and-
of we've been chasing that carrot on the end of the stick. And we kind of got it. And we're a bit like we've got all the machines we want, and I'm a bit like, all right, okay.
I guess your next step
What do we
was
do
maybe
now?
bringing someone else on, or
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah,
We've definitely been climbing a mountain. Like I gave the very simple analogy earlier of like at least 6 to sort of 8 years was just machines, processes, trial and error,
Yeah.
literally destroying hundreds of frames, making hundreds of frames, you know, thousands of hours of like turning over stones. Does that work? Does that not work? But you're right. I think we are in a different phase. You know, we've got equipment that we literally went to bed dreaming of having one day. We have that now
Yeah.
sitting right behind me, you know, like imagine if we could get that, you know, and it's here. And it's not that we're bored now and we've got the toy and we're bored of it. It's more,
I know the feeling. I do.
it's,
And I think many people know the feeling.
it's direction now,
Yeah.
growth. What's next? How do we get to the next level? Because for a long time, for us, it was just like, how are we going to do that?
Yeah.
Now it's like, now it's like, how do
where
we
do we
want to
go
execute? Where
from
do we go now?
here? Yeah.
I guess we're a bit like that when we are makers. We had the publication, right, what's next? Then we did the documentary. It's like, right, what's next? We're never like, we always want to do new things, and
Yeah.
it's, where do you stop?
It's human
as well?
instinct, though. Like you're always wanting more, you know, whatever it might be in life, and it's just a lot of the time it is just chasing a certain feeling of like accomplishment, and that can be dangerous because you can get lost in that. But at the same time, that's what keeps you moving forward.
Mm. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lucy, this was originally your project at uni. You wanted to do glasses frames, didn't you? Did you ever imagine it would be here? Did you set out doing glasses frames thinking I'm going to make them one day?
No, to be honest. I think we always kind of looked at it very one step at a time. We
Right.
never had like a big, massive plan at the start. I think it grew. I think our confidence grew as the frames got better. And then we started getting compliments about them. And like people, like opticians started going like, these are really good. You should be selling them for more money and things like that. And
Right,
that kind
okay.
of stuff sort of starts to go like, all right, okay. And then like other people come out the woodwork and they're like, oh, nobody else is doing this. Like we didn't even realise what we were doing when we started out.
Right.
Like we didn't realise what we were doing was unique. We never even really thought about it. We just did it. We were just so consumed with being in here.
Yeah.
It was like the world outside didn't really exist. You were just like, how do we right, what is like the groove, the groove that holds the lenses. We were obsessed with that. And then it became like how, like, what are the angles? There's different angles and stuff, and like figuring out how are we going to find that information out, because even opticians didn't know, because they just come in from a factory in a packet. So it's just like we literally had to try and reverse engineer sort of things. So we just looked at things in such incremental, tiny little challenges, and then like years went past, and you've kind of like, we didn't have like, oh yeah, 10-year plan, this is where we're going to be.
Right.
I think we're starting to get a little bit more like that. Obviously, I think it's good to just have like little goals that kind of get to the big goal.
Yeah.
Really.
Do you remember that phase we went through of making just like a portion of the frame? Because like it's a bit wasteful, even for something as smaller than an envelope, to make a whole envelope-sized frame when you're only trying to work on like one little region of it. It's quite wasteful. Why make a whole frame? I can only just make a little part.
Yep.
So we found all these little like time hacks of like, well, if we're working on, for example, the recess that the hinge sits in that holds the hinge to the frame, it's called the grave because it goes into a grave. It's quite morbid, but that's what it's called. You were machining just that top left corner of glasses for like what felt like months. We find them in the house. They're like bits of Lego.
Everywhere. Just everywhere.
In your pockets.
There's just this top corner where the hinge goes in a pair of glasses. Like, why make the whole frame when we can just do that bit? So when you mentioned earlier about like making incremental steps, like that's an example of like the obsession.
Because it went into it.
Yeah, it's just like sickening obsession. And looking back, there was probably I still think there's parts of it that are like practically borderline insanity. So that interview with Eminem, did you ever see that one where he was with, I don't know who it was, some guy in America, he's a chat show host, and he was talking about how like Eminem writes his lines, his rhythm, his words for his songs, and like he writes them round in circles.
All right.
It's like he just chases it round and round the paper, like turning the paper. And the chat show host says, yeah, well, I heard about that. And I spoke to a couple of people about this because I know that's how you work. And he goes like, I think 3 or 4 of them all said that is like a trait amongst the mentally insane, as in like people who have suffer with mental, like serious mental health problems. And like, it's all shades of grey. Like, I genuinely think there's phases. I think for any maker who's trying to get better at something, like you lock someone in a room long enough with a problem, they'll figure it out. And yeah, like it is sometimes like borderline psychotic, some of the focus, like we're literally having arguments or we're just skipping around a room about something so minute, so insignificant to somebody who's wearing our glasses that we spent literally months of our lives literally thinking of the first thing in the morning and the last thing at night.
That's what makes your products.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say so significant to someone wearing your glasses, because if it wasn't for that obsession, that person wouldn't be wearing your glasses. So that level of obsession is a factor in why Banton Frameworks glasses are what they are.
I think that's one of the big differentiators. Like, one thing that we're both really big on is like we call it the hinge junction, because ultimately whenever you pick up a pair of glasses, you just automatically like open them. People play with it subconsciously, open and close the frame. Like VW spent years developing the way that their doors sound when you shut the door of like a Golf. It has to sound safe. It sounds a certain thud. Yeah. I compare that because it's a door and it hinges like our glasses, and we're obsessed with how that feels. It has to be stiff. It has to be solid. It has to connect. And like, I just can't stand it. Not that there's anything wrong with cheap products, because there's a market for everything. But see, when you pick up a pair of low cost glasses and they're just like flapping around, like, it's like a flag in a wind.
You put them down, you're like, oh, they're broken.
Yeah, and like, it's just upsetting. It's just like,
experience.
And if people can invest, because it's not all about money, but if people can invest in good things made well, it does genuinely change your life. Like a good pair of shoes will last you a lifetime if you take care of them, and that's something we're obsessed with our frames. Is that hinge juncture is a big thing for us. It's how it feels when it opens and closes.
It's like when I met you, I was like, nice boots.
Cheers.
And it's like, nice glasses. There's a conversation there.
Yeah. Some people take that really seriously though. Like we were talking about Tim last night, one of our customers. I won't say his surname, but he's a friend. I've sent him a whiskey bottle because I'm so grateful for how many frames he's bought. He's bought 14 frames from us this year.
Wow.
He's like obsessed. He's a serial offender. It's fine with me. And like, we see you, Tim. We hear you. He's obsessed with his glasses, and he absolutely loves his glasses. He's got 14 pairs from us so far this year alone, and he just absolutely adores them. some people are into watches, some people are into shoes, some people are into denim, and like we're after
Ultimate
people
fan.
and we're after those people who take that seriously, because whether you want to admit it or not, and this goes back to your project at uni, let's say, for some people, your eyewear is you. It's the first thing people see when they see you, and some people get that and they take
That's
so
true.
much pride in that.
Mhm.
Because don't get me wrong, like when I see someone, subconsciously I look at their shoes, because I like shoes, but it's just it's like, do you have clean wheels in your car? If you've got clean wheels in your car, you've probably got your shit together. You like taking care of your things. Shoes are kind of the same, but with glasses, like that's a whole other thing. Like that's like the window to your eyes.
Yeah,
And some people just don't give a shit. Some people don't care. That's fine. Like it's just not important for them. It's a thing that improves their vision, and that's just the end of the conversation. It's a begrudging biennial investment. They don't want to know. It's a pain in the arse getting their eyes tested. But then there's people who just like live and die by their frames, and those are the people that we're after because they get it.
Yeah. So those are obviously the perfect customer. When you briefed yourself on the original project, was that the brief? Has that changed? Where did that go?
Yeah, so originally it started out, if I remember rightly, is basically I was kind of I'd always shopped. I've worn glasses maybe since I was about 14.
Right.
So I'm not like obviously I suppose it's a while now, but at the time I was only like 20. So it's only been about 6 years. And then I'd always shopped in the big high street stores. I didn't even really know that independent opticians existed, if I'm being really honest. I didn't know really about independent brands. Everything was mainstream, mass market kind of stuff. And I was just a bit bored, really. When I went to opticians, I was always a bit uninspired. So that's basically how the whole process or the whole kind of project began, was just kind of design something a bit different. And that's where the wood element came from. Because obviously the grains and stuff like that obviously bring a different quality to frames, and that's kind of how it was, just out of want of something a bit different, something a bit more interesting. Obviously fundamentally I was looking for some sort of independent eyewear brand, but I wasn't really getting that from the high street. And even some sort of high street opticians like in the local area are still just stock Ray-Ban and all the rest of it. So it's trying to seek out those kind of interesting companies who create something that's maybe a little bit more unique, really. So
if you found them, if you found such and such eyewear store that had that, do you think this would all be happening? Do you think you'd have still wanted to make them?
I don't know. I suppose I never really thought about it, to be honest. I think it was never, we've always spoken about, it was never really necessarily about eyewear. That just became our thing. We were just obsessed with like making something. We actually almost went down the pottery road.
Oh, really?
I got a kiln for like my 21st birthday.
Oh, nice.
And it's that here. It was like plumbed in over there. And so we almost went down that road because I did that in third year. Really liked it because it was like our first kind of like, we
Real
made molds.
process.
Yeah, because you make your own molds and you slip cast and all that kind of stuff, and got really into that. It's more the kind of making process. So it wasn't really about glasses initially, and now we've just become immersed in the industry and know the ins and outs of it, and kind of we're in now.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult to get back out.
It's quite interesting though, isn't it? Because the majority of people that we speak to, they weren't in it for the end result. They were in it to do things right and to do good stuff, I think it's definitely a common theme.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you enjoy the process more than the result, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Because it might not necessarily be always the best financial decision. I think your accountant might disagree. But if you can do something for free, which for a long time we did, because I worked part-time jobs for years to keep this going, which most people
we all do.
you interview would probably be the same. You're still doing it.
Well, Jack works full time,
I'm
so
still
I
working
can
full
do.
time, so I can do this. Yeah.
This is the thing. You know, I probably shouldn't say this. It's probably a bit rude. It's like kind of like fuck you money. It's like the thing on the side that like the job's just the thing I have to do to pay the bills. But the thing that you really want to do is like still could make money, but it's getting that balance right. But, I was saying something though before. What was that? What was it you were talking about? I can't remember now.
We're talking about people that are in it for the right reason.
Yeah, if you enjoy the process more than the result, you're doing the right thing, because ultimately that's what keeps you awake or makes you work longer.
You get up in the morning.
Gets you up in the morning. And I think it's really important to find that. But it's even better when that purpose has a monetary result.
Yeah, well, it means you can do it full time.
Yeah.
Do you know? It means that
You need to make
there
money.
is an end to it. You know, whatever you do, if you can make that the ikigai concept that I've been doing a lot of reading a lot of books about, it's like if you can find the one thing that has purpose, it's basically it fulfills these four, you know, financial, self-worth, purpose, and health. You know, if it fills all, I've probably totally butchered that.
It's like crossover, it's that intersection between the four.
And if you can find that sort of Goldilocks zone that has them all, like you're winning. You're absolutely winning. It's
a shame though. I really genuinely feel for people though who are say really good at something. It's kind of like Britain's Got Talent. It's like, oh, like that's amazing, you can do that, but like you can't keep turning up on a stage and keep doing it because it's not that impressive to like the vast majority of people. Yeah. And I feel that's a real shame because there's people who are just genuinely gifted. I'm not really such a big believer in talent myself, but you know, to have something they're genuinely really good at, but there isn't like a monetary result for that. I really do feel for people in that situation because it will probably forever remain a hobby subject to their free time.
Yeah. If it doesn't fulfill all four of them, that's kind of the concept that it'll either be a hobby or you need to find another way of financing life.
Who was that guy we were talking about? He was like one of the world's most famous cartoonists. I don't know his name. I just read this and he was saying like, I was kind of funny at school, but I was never like comedian worthy. But I was kind of good at drawing, but I was never going to be an artist. That's why I became a cartoonist. And I was like, yes. And he made his living doing that because he was never good enough to be the cartoonist, but the artist. He was never good enough to be the comedian either in terms of humor. But he found that intersection between the two.
Right, okay.
And I think that we talk about this quite a lot. It's like transferable skills. That's just a really good example of that. But like if you're good at certain things, like find the middle ground, find the sort of the worth for somebody else who's willing to pay for that. Because if you're ever good at anything, like never do it for free.
Yeah, no. yeah, absolutely.
You know, and there might not always be a job out there that's got a label. Like, you know, like that program Dexter, the blood spatter analyst. I don't know if that really is actually a career. I think I Googled it once. But
I think it is.
I'm pretty sure it is a career. Sorry for anyone who's a blood spatter analyst. But, you know, go and make your own one then. Yeah. That's what Brewdog did. They didn't find the beer they wanted. So they made the beer they loved. So like, you know, they're taking on Heineken now. You know, like that's
wild.
Yeah. Obviously, selling beer, the world's favorite commodity, chocolate, beer, and ice cream. Like you can't go wrong. But yeah, I think for anyone listening who maybe does want to start their thing but isn't quite too sure, like just, you know, find your slot and pursue it with everything you've got because it might work out.
Well, I was talking to a bunch of students last night, Thursday night, about this, wasn't I? The everything's difficult. Like, just choose your difficult. Like, make sure it's worth it to you. It makes total sense.
It's so funny. You keep saying things that I talk about so much. So like, everything's difficult. You know, I look at it from maybe a bit more of a sporting aspect. You're probably going to roll your eyes, but it's like if you're really good at cycling, like or anything, find something that you're willing to hurt at that other people are going to hurt at.
How many times have you broke your wrist cycling?
Yeah. Find something you're really good at that you're willing to hurt at that other people are going to hurt at too, but you're willing to hurt at it more than they are.
Such a good way of saying it.
It's just like these guys in the Tour de France, like who are willing to literally degrade their bone density for 2 weeks on bikes, like the sickening pain that they go through because they know that the guy beside them is just about to crack.
Yeah.
And that's basically life. Just find something, because you're not alone. Like you don't win because you're really good at drawing or really good at telling jokes. You're going to win because you're going to outlast the guy beside you. That's how it works.
And this is exactly the conversation Kate and I keep having. It's like when we set out to do We Are Makers, I say it's like 5 years. I'll fund it for 5 years with a full-time job and we'll work out what it is. And it's like there's been so many times, and Rapture and Wright talked about this, there's so many times where you just want to walk away, isn't there? There's so many times where you're like, this is so difficult. But you hang on for one more day, and then one more day, and then one more day. And
next week something good happens, you're like, yeah, that's why I do it.
Yeah, and it just restarts the clock, and then you can hang on a lot longer. So you guys, you went on board for the start. I'm sure you were on board with whatever Lucy was doing, but you weren't on board as Bantam. At what point was it that we decided we were going to do your final project? Was it purely a commercialization thing, or was it just a pure love you had for it and you're just jumping on?
Well, we kind of joined forces because we were friends at uni at the time. We ended up getting together as a couple, but also joining forces, everything, spiritually, physically, the whole lot, romantically. And I had far more interest in what Lucy was doing anyway, because I was already helping her in uni at the time.
And was that early on in uni?
No, it was right at the end. It was like the last leg of uni. It was like the last 4 or 5 months. And I was kind of, because we kind of were a bit of a sort of like a bit of a dream team anyway. We always helped each other out because you could do things I couldn't, and vice versa. And
Yeah.
you just fill the gaps.
Yeah.
But that's part of being a couple, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's how it
absolutely.
happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, we joined forces. But yeah, it was essentially, it was your project. We just ran with it because we knew we could make frames. But I don't know.
Right.
If that answers.
I think that the reason why we chose to go down that road instead of say your project or ceramics was being quite blunt about it, was the margins, because they're quite high. They're quite high ticket items.
Yeah.
As people take their I think they should take their vision quite seriously. And we could only make so many, small number, and
Easily
we were
shipped.
just relatively, yeah. We thought they were easily sort of.
Oh gosh, I like the shipping part.
The
like,
shipping things.
Well, they're small, they're high value, or they could be high value. For as we got better at them, they could be more and more high value. But yeah, you're right. The margins were there, and you could see the mechanics of it. And we didn't study business. You know, we studied product design, but we knew that like you can make money doing it.
Yeah, there's a common sense to
be-
business as well, isn't there?
Blunt about it. But
Yeah, well, that's
the
it.
truth.
You know, it is the truth. Like, because obviously we could only make a small number, especially at the start, so we had to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
And that's really what kind of made that choice, rather than not saying that you couldn't make money out of pots. Probably make more money out of pots. John knows anything.
Yeah.
John is Smart's making a good living out of mud.
You've got a nice old workshop.
Yeah,
Real
exactly.
nice workshop.
Hey, listen, dried out mud make you a lot of money.
And you know it's entirely recyclable. If you don't like the pot, you
Yeah, just put it
turn
in
it
the
back
ground.
into mud.
Yeah. To be fair, actually, acetate's not too dissimilar. Acetate.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Takes a
acetate.
little bit longer.
It's a bit longer than pottery, mind you, but yeah, acetate. It's basically wood pulp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, acetate's like cellulose is the world's most abundant natural bio compound. It's like present in like 95% of plants,
Okay.
and basically it's just one of the building blocks to make bioplastic. I'm not a chemist, but basically you take cellulose and you can use that to make a bioplastic. I don't like using the word bioplastic, but that is technically what it's called. It's a biomaterial.
Yeah.
And you can dye it all sorts of colors. It's basically made from plants. There is a petroleum version of it, which is how obviously it started off as a bioplastic.
Yeah.
Then we'd had this sort of like 60-year expanse where we put petrol in it because we could. And now we've realized that's bad. So now about 5 or 6 years ago, our supplier launched a new range of acetate, which is petroleum free, which is obviously what we use. But yeah, it's basically like there's like 3 or 4 OG plastics, like I'm talking like Bakelite, like 40s and 50s when it first started. Like plastics were getting really big. Acetate was one of them, and that was made with cellulose. There was a couple of other plastics which coincidentally we used during COVID because we couldn't get a hold of acetate because, as we all know, Italy was this epicenter of COVID.
Yep.
And that's where our supplier for acetate was. So we ended up having to use different materials to make frames to kind of keep the doors open during 2020, 2021. We had a lockdown projects. I don't know if you want to talk about that. You want to talk about cow's milk?
Yeah, I was about to ask that. What was that material? 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
so it was
interesting.
it's a Gallus.
That's the one. It used to be in the UK. It was called erinoid, but there's this type of plastic made of cow's milk, and the stuff we got a hold of was called erinoid.
Yeah.
Or sorry, Gallus.
They used to make buttons out of it. Or they still make buttons?
You can still make buttons out of Gallus. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's quite brittle though. It was a difficult material to work with, but it was quite. It didn't smell very nice.
No.
Being honest, it did kind of
Well,
smell like
basically-
sort of cheese.
It was 60. The stuff we got a hold of, basically, we couldn't get a hold of acetate during COVID because the factory's shut. It was shut for months. So no materials, no glasses.
Yeah.
Stressful.
Yeah. So we're like, we can make it out of this, we can make it out. Do we go back to making frames out of wood again? I don't want to make frames out of wood
Never
anymore.
again.
Never again. Fuck that. So we were like, shit, where are we going to get our material from? So we found this other OG plastic, as I call it, and it's made of cow's milk. So this stuff is dead stock. When I say dead stock, it was 60 years old. Been sitting on a shelf somewhere in France.
That's incredible.
Yeah, this stuff's just been sitting there. So
How did you come across it?
just looking into like, my business needs acetate and there is no acetate. What other materials are similar to acetate so I can keep making glasses and making money?
Yeah.
And we came across 2 materials. One was from a friend and one was through Google, good old Google. And that one just so happened to be this cow's milk plastic. So it looks like acetate, didn't smell like acetate because it smelled like old cheese.
Because it's been sitting on a shelf for 60 years.
But acetate, I keep banging on about it. It's actually, when you cut it, it smells like wine gums.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a nice smell.
It's nice. It's really nice. Galilith, not so much. Galilith is a funny one, but anyway, yeah, it looks like acetate. It had like the lovely marbled effects. You could get these ones that basically look like either tortoise shell or horn, but it's plastic. It's made of cow's milk. They basically pour it into a mold and let it set for like 2 weeks, and it's basically a solid sheet of plastic. So we started making frames from that during COVID. So that was
Sell it really well.
yeah, they sold out immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. And then the other material was the rubber.
Ebonite.
Ebonite, that's the one. Ebonite. You want to talk about that?
I don't know as well as you do because you spoke to Chris more about it.
Yeah, well, basically, there's this type of rubber called ebonite. They use it to make the mouthpieces for wind instruments
and bowling balls.
and bowling balls.
Make bowling balls out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Old school bowling balls.
Like
are
the
made
real
of,
marbled effect ones. Yeah.
They're made of this. The first ones were made of this rubber, and it's when you think of a bowling ball, it's like a fucking solid lump, but it's actually rubber. It's so hard, super high density rubber.
Right.
And one of the reasons why they used to use it was because it could be polished really well, and it, as I said, it could be used for making mouthpieces for instruments. It could be machined, bent, heated, molded. And I was like, that sounds like making glasses.
Yeah.
That could be used for making glasses. But the problem that we have is it has to be a certain thickness and it has to be sheet form to give us enough real estate to machine frames from.
So you don't machine it down, you get it in that.
It's sheet
that
form.
thickness. It's right, okay.
Yeah.
We still machine it down.
You have to skim it and flatten it.
Skim it
Yeah.
because the Italians' idea of tolerance is a bit different.
Well, put it this way. When you're buying sheets of acetate, they give it to you in weight. They don't give it to you in size.
Right.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's how much
If
you
you-
pay for it. You pay for it in weight.
Yeah,
don't
like if
pay
you
for it
buy
in sheet.
if you were like plastering your house with plasterboard sheets, you'd be like, how big's a sheet?
Yeah.
And you multiply the area. No, the Italians, they give it to you in weight.
Yeah, you've got like an 8 kilogram,
Mental.
pile of acetate.
Yeah.
That'll cost you this.
And like you're buying what you think is 8 mil acetate, but this end's 10 and that end's 9.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to be 8. It's like, what's going on here? Anyway, yeah. So we have to skim it down to thickness. So this rubber, it looks like wood. It's harder than wood. It's like hard as nails. It's marbled. It's beautiful, but it came from a plant. It's sap from a rubber plant, a tree.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this factory in Germany who make these extrusions. They're kind of like almost like strips of wood, but they're not wood. It's rubber.
Mm-hmm.
They basically just like under heat compress natural latex with natural dyes to make what looks like wood. It's hard as nails, but it's absolutely beautiful.
Perfect.
10 times the price of acetate.
More than that.
I think it's maybe more. It's like
It's
12.
insane. But they have to bake it in a kiln.
Yeah, they have to bake it.
24 hours or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Is it like?
It gets baked.
Yeah, and that's what gets it really hard.
Yeah. So we made some frames from that. So that was another project we did during lockdown. They were absolutely beautiful. We're gonna use that material again, but we're gonna save it for a rainy day because it's expensive.
Yeah.
But those are the two projects we did during lockdown, other than acetate frames or wood. But we won't talk about wood ever again.
So we talked loads about the material, and we've actually touched on a few of the different processes. What does your process look like from start to finish? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so it starts over on the machine, CNC router. So basically that just cuts out, puts all the angles on it, all the little graves and stuff we were speaking about for the hinges.
And it's 2D machining. You're just getting the blank out. Right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, we do have dreams of having a 5-axis.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be
one
amazing.
day. We just need, But yeah, no. So at the moment, it's just all 2D. We just use cutters to basically give us our contours and all the rest of it. Then it'll go pretty much out of that. The temples will get shot with their cores.
Temples being the sides we talked about at the start.
So we're speaking about that, yeah. So that'll be metal core shot into the acetate blank that comes out of the CNC. And then once that's done, all the parts go into a tumbler, and they basically go through 4 different phases over the course of about 5 days. And then they'll come out and they'll get curved, the fronts will. And that's just by heat and forming with your hands, really. It's not particularly sophisticated. And then they'll get their hinges. That's generally when Jamie kind of comes down and starts you're more involved in the riveting, hinge fitting, all that kind of like fiddly stuff. And then we generally go through and hand polish for what feels like an eternity. But
Podcast season.
Yeah, that's when podcasting, that's when
It's like
real
sand,
life
and it's
ghost
like
stories come
you could
out.
go more, and you could go more, and you could go more.
Yeah, you gotta be careful though, because that's where I think makers can easily get lost and end up
Losing
hurting
time.
themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like for us, like for a while we went through a phase of like, you know, if you've got an iPhone, you can like hit lap on your timer.
Yeah.
It's kind of like chess. You'd like polish a frame, lap, polish another frame, lap, and you'd see how much you were averaging per frame
Okay.
to try and keep an eye on how long you were taking per frame, because perfectionism sets in because you want to do a good job. We're only as good as the last frame we made. But what happens is you could easily spend far too long per frame before you know it, you've added a week onto your time. So you got to be really, really on it. Like polishing is obviously like a high skill process, but you've gone over a bit twice, you've gone too far. You need to move on to the next frame
Right.
because it adds up big time. Because glasses have so many surfaces on them. They've got the front, the back, the sides, the edges, the insides, the inside the bridge.
Yep.
All 4 edges need to get polished. But if you multiply that or start going back over the work you've already done, we've lost weeks.
It's good advice because it's true.
No, it
I've
is.
done it myself.
Yeah. Anyone listening, like if you have any hands-on processes, inescapably making the frames we do sculpted from acetate, there is hands. People think they're made with machines. They're really fucking not. We're not pressing buttons here.
Yeah.
We're telling machines what to do that cut them out so we can then step in and
Yep.
make them what they are. But with regards to people who have hands-on processes who are listening to this, like be aware of how long you're taking to do stuff, because at the end of it all, if you're dividing it out and you're only getting paid £3 an hour, you need to stop.
Yeah.
You need to figure out what it is you're doing and how you can make it better. Because you might have a beautiful object at the end of the day, but if you've spent literally days, weeks making it, it's not fucking worth it. Don't do it. It's just stupid.
Yeah. 100%.
It doesn't make business sense.
Business head on.
And at the end of the day, that's the reality. We only make a living.
It's a fine line. Like, sorry to kind of divert the conversation because I know
No,
we're
it's
talking
okay.
about how we're making frames, but we have been guilty of that. We have been led astray. You want to do a good job. You want something beautiful at the end of it all. You put almost self-worth into this thing, a boot, a belt, a shoe, a pair of glasses. But if you're literally like spending, that's the difference between having a business and having a passion. Like great, go down and make whatever you want to make on the side. And if you enjoy that, cool. But you're going to have to keep your job, because if it's not going to be worthwhile to make, there's no point in doing it.
Yep.
And we've fallen foul of that so often. And I think if you are responsible for making products to sell that keeps a roof above your head, you have to look at it from the point of view. It's like, how long is it taking? How much am I getting paid to do it? How much is it costing to make that, to run that machine to do it? If you're not measuring these things, you're not managing them. And that's where it runs away. And that's how you end up, getting into problems.
And how often we'll go back to finishing the glasses, but while we're on this, how often do you sort of reevaluate those things, or how do you keep on top of that stuff? Because that's really important for people to hear.
Spreadsheets.
Oh, love a
Yeah,
spreadsheet.
we created, we did our first kind of process spreadsheet. It was only like this year, wasn't it? Earlier on this, late last year.
A year and a half ago, we just
Yeah,
like
I think it's when we
spreadsheet
started-
every process.
Yeah, started doing the new processes to kind of like, I think as well, initially, because we did quite large batches, we had big gaps in between. And we actually came back down and we were like, what order do we do this in? Because we hadn't been, particularly with temples and stuff like that, it's all these new processes. And we kept finding ourselves making mistakes, as in like, oh, we angle cut too soon after polishing, or we've spent time polishing something
That we shouldn't have.
and we went and scuffed it on the temple bending machine. And
Because
we
you've done it the wrong way
Yeah.
around.
yeah, so we started creating like a spreadsheet. So
chronology.
yeah, so we're like, no, because I remember the first batch we made, it took us like, I don't know, it took us about twice as long as we ever anticipated it was going to take.
Oh, we were terrified. We bought all these machines to make temples. Our process list literally more than doubled. Like I'm talking like there's about 150 steps or something. I can't remember how many there are together. You like broke down every single one. The introduction of temples, just the magnet, like it just, what's the word? Like just multiplied
yeah.
so much.
And because you've got two of them as well.
And
You've got to
because
make
two-
sure you have one that matches, obviously. And then like we kept going through and like, scuff it, we've got to go and polish it again. We'd bring it back through and then we'd scuff it again and we'd go back. So yeah, we created a spreadsheet basically.
and how long it
like-
should take, when you should
Yeah.
do it,
So
how
we
you
kinda-
should do it, and basically made like a cheat sheet.
Mhm.
That's
Oh,
good.
okay.
Because when you've got 150 processes to do the same way every single time, and depending on the time of year as well with temperatures, I know I keep talking about temperature,
Yeah.
like that's quite difficult to manage, especially if you haven't made for 4 months. Because if you haven't made frames for 4 months, like you're never going to remember that.
Yeah.
I think journaling, it sounds like weird, but that's how you stay the same. That's how you stay consistent.
That's good advice.
Yeah. I think as well, like the very reason why we use the spreadsheet as well, there's like averages, how long it should be taking you either per frame or per 10 frames, and you can start like multiplying it and working it out.
Yeah, we sort of put note of like this took us a full day
Mhm.
to do all of these, a batch of 100 or
And
a
it
batch
was
of 100.
raining.
yeah. Yeah, it was January. It was
or it was
miserable.
really cold, so the oven had to be hotter.
Or your fingers are like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that
yeah.
something you guys have always done through uni, or is that something that Banton forced?
It's only actually kind of come about recently. Really.
Yeah, I think it's a pursuit not only of perfection, which you'll never get, but it's also the pursuit of, like, you know, you only get one life, and I don't want to spend time wasting time on things I shouldn't have to be. It's just efficiency.
Yeah.
Like, time is a luxury. It's a finite resource, you know, and it can also, it not only will it cost your business, but it can also cost you personally, because there's less time doing the things you really want to do, like friends, family, sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah, sleeping goes really low on the list for a lot of makers,
yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah. But the things that don't get measured don't get managed. And if you don't have control of that, you're not in control of what you're doing.
It's a good way to look at it. If it's not measured, it's not managed. So we're at polishing. We segued aggressively.
Sorry.
But
But
no,
it was
that
good,
was
it was
good.
I'll leave you guys to it.
No, it was perfect. So we polishing.
Yeah.
Finish up polishing.
Yeah, so we've the frames are still separate at that point. So we've got fronts and we've got sides. And then we bring them back through here generally, because I point through there because that's where all the polishing goes on. And then they get angle cut, which is a relatively new process, which gives the sort of join between the front and the...
That all-important join.
Still haven't quite perfected that. We've just literally bought a machine that's sitting out there in its box at the moment, and we're trying to get that a bit better. But yeah, so that stuff goes on. Assembly, things like laser etching, all the logos and stuff. Dimensions, yeah. And then we're back onto curving. So they kind of start to look like frames now. They're all assembled with their sides on, get bent. And then, to be honest with you, they go back through, like, all we do generally, it feels, after they come out of tumblers, go back to the polishing, because it's all about the surface finish, really, for us.
Right.
If we've done a good job, obviously, on CNC, everything else should fall into place, really. But yeah, our most time-consuming process by far is hand polishing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's 4 stages of tumble polishing, which we mentioned earlier. Literally like 4 grades. It's like a cow's stomach. Rough to smooth. There's roughest, not so rough, smoothest.
Yep.
That takes 4 days constantly. They go inside a big drum full of what's called media. It's like pegs.
Yep.
The different grades of media.
They're like little ceramic lumps, if I'm right.
You can get different types of media. We use different grades of nylon, then it goes to beach chips.
Oh, okay.
And different sizes produce different finishes. That was a whole load of years of
that's
fun
another
learning
one.
that.
Yeah, I was about to say that must have taken a bit of research.
Just trial and error. So that's 4 days of continually churning inside what looks like a tombola. It's like an octagonal drum. There's 4 drums. They're filled with media, like this whole 25 kilo sack full of media that rubs against the frames and gets churned around. That's what smooths the frames gradually. And then there's another 4 stages of hand polishing after that.
So the tumblers are getting it as close to hand polishable as possible.
Basically, if you do it right, and if you know what you're doing, you can basically get to almost to the point where you just give it like a quick polish, and it can be as just enough good on certain edges. Other bits need more attention.
Yeah. But presumably just because of shapes and sizes and all that jazz.
Yeah. But then what happens is, as well, is another variable, is that your media, as it's churning, gets worn, because like pebbles on a beach, they get rounder and rounder. So it becomes less and less effective.
Ah, okay.
So the older your media is, the longer it takes to polish.
Right. So you're obviously adjusting times or whatever, but then if you bang new media in and don't adjust the times,
it'll rip through it.
Yeah,
you're flying.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. We've got these lozenges. They're called. They're like little diamonds. They're made of nylon. They look like sweeties. They genuinely look like sherbet lemons or something. And when we got them, they've got these little serrations on them. Like, they're rough. They're ready to go. But like now they're a few months old, so it takes a little bit longer.
Right. Okay.
And you open the barrel, you look in, you go, another couple of hours. I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a pie. You've got to know when it's right.
Yeah.
So the tumblers and CNC machining are pretty big parts of machinery that I think most people would probably notice the CNC machine and recognise it for what it is, the sort of router bed. But what about all the other ones? We've talked about that's for shooting.
Yep.
And what else have we got here?
So behind me, we've got the temple bending. So that's a little kind of Wallace and Gromit-like machine that basically, it's got little clamps that come in different points, clamp down, and then kind of bend it. So you warm up in an oven, You warm the sides and you leave them for a few minutes, and then you put it in, and it like with pneumatic.
Nice.
So yeah,
So
that's
when you're
kind of
talking
like,
about the bend, are you talking about the bend? That
yeah.
hooks
So
round the back
talking
of the
about
ear?
it
There's
goes
three-
round. So it
three
wraps round your head and then drops down behind your ear.
So you're not machining that in that curve?
no,
they're
they come
straight.
in straight. Yeah,
Right,
So
okay.
Because they have to get shot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, of course.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't machine that in
No.
because
Use
you
all
need,
the steps
you could,
that-
right.
See now,
Yeah.
but not just that. It's got 3 curves. It's got that curve. It's got a curve at the end. It's got the drop, which is a bit that tucks behind your ear.
Yeah.
That all happens at one go. So the frame goes in like this, and there's 2 basically sticks that go in, and they come out as a ergonomically shaped thing that goes around your head.
It's amazing. Isn't
It's
it?
unbelievable.
Right.
Not only that, but the angle cutting process, which Lucy mentioned earlier, they have to be cut so that they open to the right width. So when you open that door, or that temple as we call it, it doesn't open too far or not enough, so it's too tight for your head. Not only that, the curvatures all have to be right too.
So many
One-
many steps.
Yeah, 1 degree and it's all over. Like
Yeah.
you cut it too wide, 1 degree at that end, it's like 10 mil at the other. Because if it goes
Yeah.
too far that way, it's miles away. So like, yeah, it's baptism of fire. Making temples ain't easy.
No?
Nah. But the thing is though, people who are mad enough to try it or follow in our footsteps, like fair play to you, on you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you make your own molds or your own settings or your own for that temple making machine?
Yeah.
Right.
We did get some with the machine, but they were just
Nope.
didn't
No.
make.
So we had to make our own.
Yeah, we had to make our own. So yeah, every single process you think you just buy it in and you just
No.
switch it on, press
Play.
a button, off you go. It's unfortunately it doesn't quite work like that. Yeah, we've been through so many like frame forming molds to find the right curvature. Temple bending molds, jigs for holding parts in the core shooting machine.
Do you
All
use
these kind of
positive
things.
air? Do you use negative air?
Yeah.
So, like for product testing, like who does that? Do you get people to try them on, or is that a thing? Or
yeah,
do
but
you
kind
just
of
do it
our
yourself?
customers generally will tell us. Like I think,
Okay.
I think as well though, it's not like we kind of put them on and go like, no, that's just not right.
Yeah, you just know.
And obviously I wear them all the time, every day, so I kind of know. And you can tell, you just like, you've been doing it long enough, you can see a frame and you go, no, that's just not set up right. You know,
Right.
it's just too narrow. We're still working on it, like, but every head's different, so that's the one
That's
battle
what,
that
that's
we
what
have.
I'm thinking.
That's
like,
what I was about to say, because
Yeah.
like we offer a free adjustment service or unlimited adjustment
Oh,
service, because
perfect.
everyone's different. Like most of our clothes don't fit us properly. Like 60% of people or 60% of our clothes don't actually fit us correctly, and the same goes for eyewear.
Yep.
You know, technically, if the world was a perfect place, we'd all have things made to fit.
Yeah.
But we can't. You know, so there's t-shirt companies out there that will sell like 10 different shapes of a t-shirt. They've only got 4 colors, and they try and fill those gaps. Whereas like the beauty of what we do is, rather than making it to different sizes, there's size, and then there's also adjustment.
Mm.
You can, it needs a bit of a tighter wrap behind my ear, or that needs widened slightly, and the other thing as well with acetate is it can be reshaped and remolded quite easily.
It's an amazing service.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
So what does that look like? Is that a bit of a heat up and reshape job?
Well, that's why Temple Lucy's, or why acetate frames, full rim acetate frames, are shot with those cores, because kind of like a pipe cleaner, you know, in primary school, you could bend it to shape.
Yep.
It's got this external thing that's comfortable to wear on your head, but inside of that is a metal core. So when you adjust that and heat that to shape, it stays in that shape, or it can be reshaped.
Right.
That's the beauty of acetate. It looks
Nice.
amazing, but it performs amazing. And going back to your point right at the start of the podcast, that, you know, we're balancing art with engineering.
Yeah.
Well, it's everything in between. It's
Yeah.
a functional medical aid that helps you see better, but it's also fashion at the same time, whilst holding your lenses.
Definitely think this will make people think twice about their eyewear.
Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, like shoes have to look nice. You can get ugly shoes, but you can get pretty shoes that are uncomfortable. The thing about frames is like there is so much things going on. Not only are you wearing that all day, every day, so you can actually see, read, drive, recognize people, but it's also a part of your everyday identity. And you may have different frames for different reasons, different because they have different lenses. It's a whole cocktail of things, but the engineering that goes into it is also insane. Like there's just so much to them. And I think it's really easy to take that for granted. It's just like getting in a car and pushing a button and going. Like you don't realize how many things are happening at once when you're driving a car.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
100%. This is definitely the most machinery intense workshop we've been in. I mean, we've
This
been
is
in
just half of it.
workshops.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. We've been in workshops with bigger machines, but you've got loads.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got your tempo machine, and then we're over to
Yeah, so this is our
My
riveting machine.
favourite colour of green is British machinery green.
Yes.
That's my baby.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I took like a year to find that.
Nice.
Yeah, the guy sold it to me. Sorry, I keep going off down these stories.
That's sweet, man.
This
Keep
is
it
what
going.
it's about.
Most of the equipment in here is like got touch screens and stuff, which is pretty cool. But then there's other ones that don't, and that's obviously like the romantic one. That's the cool looking one.
Yeah.
It's the
What's your
army green.
favourite one?
Yeah, so
Alana?
basically that's a 1976 radial riveting machine. It basically
Mm.
like they use it to like you can it basically what it does is you've got the tail end of a rivet. Everyone knows what a rivet looks like. It's
Yep.
just basically like a stick of metal that goes through two parts to join it together. It's been using rivets to hold things together for like 2,000 years before Christ.
Yep.
No joke. And basically that machine, what it does is it domes the end of the bit of metal so
Right.
that the two parts can't come apart. In our
Yeah.
instance, it's attaching the hinge to the frame. It's basically what holds the hinges solid to the acetate.
Mhm.
In spectacle making terms, it's the traditional way of attaching hinges to a frame.
Right. So that's how it was done originally. Like
That's how it's done old
pre-
school. But the guy
Because
would
now they're
sit with like
flipping.
what's called like a clavulus, kind of
Yeah, it's
one
like
of
a
those,
staking tool there.
or a staking tool, and basically bend the ends of the rivets down so that attaching the hinges. Obviously, that's the old school way of doing it. You can do it that way too. That's repeatable. You can dial it in. I mean, it is from 1976, but what it does is it creates these beautiful little domed heads, little button heads. They're cute little things, but when you actually look at how a hinge is held to a frame, like there's doing it and then there's like doing it really well, and that's one of my obsessions is getting it like perfectly domed, the right amount of pressure, the right amount of time, and going back to like tradition, we do it that way because rivets are solid; they can be refixed. If anyone listening who wears glasses at home, like check how your frames are attached to your frame. Another method is basically where the manufacturer melts the hinge into the acetate. It's basically like a high frequency thing that melts the surrounding acetate.
Right.
It's a way of doing it. We don't have that. We don't use that method because what happens is if it comes loose, there's nothing to fix it back in. If it comes out of the frame, it's fucked. It's terminal.
Yeah.
You can't fix it really.
Yeah, because presumably if that's come out, it's the hole that it was sitting is now you'd either need
Too
to put a
big.
bigger hinge in, or if that was even a thing.
Yeah. So what happens is we get customers who come out of the woodwork every other week saying, "Oh, my glasses have magically broken," or I don't know what happened, but they're now broken. Like we all know what happened. Like you just sat on them. Or
Yeah.
Your dog sound.
Just your dog. It's always a dog for some reason.
We get a lot of
the
that.
dog.
A lot of dogs.
There's a
sitting
lot
on
of dog
glasses.
owners out there with broken glasses. So what happens is we get frames back. These casualties appear through our mail, and the hinges have either been torn through the frame, or literally like the whole temples come off the frame, and we can fix that because the rivets can be replaced and re-riveted.
Right.
9 times out of 10 it can be fixed. So that's why we use that method. But we don't just use it because it's the nice old way of doing it. It's got a longevity sort of sustainability factor to it.
Yeah.
We actually get people writing to us saying, "Oh my God, like how did you fix that?"
Nice.
Yeah.
And like it's not really much. Like I've spent 10 years learning how to do that.
You
But
trust your product. You trust that you can fix it and it'll.
yeah, but also that person becomes really, and this is a big thing for me, is like we all get attached to our things. We were talking earlier about boots. Like if you get those resold, like that's the same as me fixing that hinge onto that frame. People get really attached to their things, especially the longer they've had it, the more likely they are to have fallen in love with it. And treated well, anything will last you longer. But if it can be refixed, that's a true sign of quality, because if something's worth fixing, it's worth keeping.
Yeah.
And there's frames out there that aren't in that category.
And is that something you were aware of when you started wearing glasses, or is it only the Bantam thing that's really made you aware of that and honed you into that?
Oh, I mean, before they were just the sticks on the side of glasses frames, weren't they? You'd never would have looked at it. I was talking to people looking at how their hinges are attached to their frame before. Most people don't even think about that.
No.
When you open and close a door, turn a tap on and off, water comes out or it doesn't. The tap's only broken if there's no water coming out of it.
Yep.
You just take it for granted. It's part of life. But when you start looking into the details of things like, not that I know about this, but like hem stitching on t-shirts, like double stitching, overlocking, all that kind of stuff that I don't know about. People who make it know, and they know what's good and what isn't. I make frames and I know that a solid hinge when I see one, the same way like, a frame that's like been polished really well and what hasn't been. There's for example, there's big companies out there who lacquer frames to make them shiny
All right.
Oh, okay.
rather than
Polish it back properly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
there's like the way to do it, and then there's like
A way to make it look like it's been done
Aye.
that way.
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
And that's
then
what
it all
separates.
bubbles and it all cracks off. And
Yeah, that's what
Yes.
sort of
That's
sorts.
when you see these frames that have all gone kind of a bit cloudy
Crackly,
or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, they just look a bit rubbish. They look great at the start, and then very quickly, because one of the benefits of acetate, if you leave it raw, is that you can polish it.
That's the other thing. Acetate, I tried really hard not to call it plastic because although it is technically a plastic, it's a dirty word right now, plastic.
It is, aye.
And I think that's something actually that's worth mentioning. I'm glad you mentioned that because acetate is the acetate we use is a biomaterial. If you put it in the ground, it will go away.
Yep.
But the rare thing about acetate, unlike denim or leather or our clothes, is like although they can become misshapen, like denim wears beautifully, but like once it's threadbare, you can restitch it, you can patch it, you can keep it going, especially good denim, but eventually that's going to die. Yeah. But there's frames that I've held that are like, 80 years old that are made from acetate. They're all warped and misshapen, but someone who like us who knows what they're doing with it could put that back into life, refix the hinges on it. And it does have that ability to come back again and again and again. Yeah. Like if you, there's like I'm sure Tim, who's got 14 frames, like if we repolished his glasses for him, just took them all back and repolished for them, they look brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a rare material. That's not very often. We don't have very many things in our life that are like that.
None.
Like repainting your car is probably the closest you get to that. Because there might be nothing wrong with the shell, but the paint's old.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, except we're just revitalizing that material.
But in saying it, that like, yes, it is the closest to it, but if you leave the paint too long, your bodywork's going to go underneath it.
Yeah.
What you're using, it's one homogeneous material.
Exactly.
It's almost indefinitely. Like, I can imagine it would take a long time, but if you did have to keep polishing, you would eventually wear through it, but you're going to wear through it to nothingness at that point.
The one thing that's quite interesting, I never really thought about that length of time. Tumbling is actually, the process we use before hand polishing is actually removing material.
Yes.
It's actually like leveling it out.
Yeah.
Whereas with hand polishing, like if you really went for it and pushed too hard, like we'll literally melt a frame because it's the wheels spinning that fast against the frame. We've done that too many times to mention. But in terms of like, if we were to rejuvenate or revitalize a frame, like you could do that easily 20, 30, 40, 50 times and it would just look brand new every single time. Yeah. It's an amazing
that's happening every even if 50 times every 2 years, that's well over your lifetime.
Yeah. And it's a big market, vintage frames. Yeah. It's a whole world that I don't really know very much about. But like old school, like actually vintage frames, like from the 40s and 50s, go for a lot of money, and they were made by factories or brands that don't even exist anymore, and people are really nuts for it, like serial collectors. Yeah, so it's an amazing market.
It's a whole thing in itself. Mm-hmm. So after Stephen's riveting machine. I'm still thinking about like the last podcast.
That's right.
After your riveting machine there,
it's one of our many ovens. We have several ovens, and they're all slightly different. But this is our temple core shooting oven.
Right.
So that heats up the temples when they're in their sort of straight, before they've been bent and all the rest of it. So that just heats that up. It's not particularly exciting, but it does the job.
Yep.
And then on the right of that is the infamous temple core shooting machine, which basically, as we've explained, just once it's plastic's nice and hot in that oven, gets transferred into the temple core shooting machine, and the little kind of shark-like fin thing that's at the end pushes the core into the hot plastic.
And what is the core? It's obviously a metal thing, but are these like a pre-bought, or are you machining your own cores?
They are pre-bought. We have made our own cores. We may make more in the future, but at the moment we've just got them in from Italy. Because we're kind of trying to like master that. So I think we have to master the skill before we can kind of start tweaking with how we do things.
Yeah, I mean, for example, there's certain components on glasses like hinges that generally you wouldn't make yourself. You can if you want. That's a whole like other specialism. Like we're basically making micro versions of door hinges. Like it's not impossible. We could if we wanted to. Dare I say, we will probably end up doing that too because we're nuts. But like we could, for example, we have made our own cores, which is quite unusual because most people just buy. It's like not a stock component. It's just something you use to make glasses with. The same way, like we could make our own rivets. They are just little pins of metal. Yeah. There's certain things in optics that you probably wouldn't go through to the effort of making. Yeah. Although we have made our own cores, it's something that we and will end up doing. It's something that essentially is used for reinforcement.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, they're beautiful things.
Yeah.
They've got lovely little patterns and things on them.
Well,
can
that's why I
see.
was asking. I could see on Lucy's ones, and I did wonder, is that something you etch on your machine yourself?
We do. So we take these cores from Germany, right? Italy?
No, they're from Italy. The
Italy,
core-
sorry,
the cores
apologies.
are from Italy.
But we custom engrave them. Obviously, it's another layer of details. So, but it's there for both functional and aesthetic purposes, obviously.
Yeah. So that's shooting your core into it, which is still, it makes total sense now you've explained it to me. But like at the start, I couldn't work out why would you not just laminate that as part of it, but obviously that's why you do it.
You can laminate them.
You can,
Oh, you
It's
can?
a bit more of a traditional kind of Japanese way of doing
It's a
it.
Japanese technique.
However, I've tried it.
Okay.
So I would say it's even harder than trying to do it like that, because of air bubbles. It's the biggest battle.
Because
with
you can
that.
see it with transparent acetates.
Yeah.
Any mistakes, it's all there for everyone to see.
Yeah, so you
Yeah,
can
because
do
it's
it.
like all the acetates are transparent to a degree, aren't
Not
they?
all of them.
Yeah,
Not all
some
of
of them
them.
are solid, like solid
Right.
black and stuff like that.
But
yeah.
even in the solid black ones,
Yeah,
you
you
would still
couldn't
see the air bubble, would you?
No, not in a solid colour, but generally they do have some sort of translucency to them.
Right.
Even like the tortoise ones and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
You can still see it. But yeah, you can laminate. It's a very slow, time consuming process, where it's that you can sort of rattle through them a bit quicker
Right.
than laminating. But yeah.
That makes sense. So you've got
They're all very clean. Is this normal?
Yeah, no, we are.
Yeah, we do take that quite seriously.
Yeah, it would need. It feels like, but it's certainly with like hinges and the precision that's required. It needs to be like a pretty clean workshop. And I would imagine when you're heating these up, they must be a bit tacky. If you had,
that's,
if you had,
well, I was trying to explain this to Jamie because obviously, like, I tried like different temperatures and getting really, really methodical about it. As we were saying, like wrote all the temperatures, the time, how long it was in there. And to be honest with you, it didn't really work. So what I've because every single acetate's ever so slightly different. So you've got your M49, which is your bio one, and then you've got like the Havana patterned versions of that same style of acetate, shoots completely differently. So it does come down to touch. So so you take it out of the oven there, and literally I'm like poking it, like just with Max, I wear like heatproof gloves, and just kind of like press in to different points. And I was describing it to Jamie as like, like Haribo. And like, it's got that kind of like, if you were to squish like a Haribo in your hand, that's the kind of texture that's a kind of like, there's no other, like I've got a rough gauge of time. I know it'll probably take me about this, but because the temperature in here fluctuates, the temperature of that oven fluctuates. If it's middle of January versus July, all of these things have a factor. So it just comes down to whether or not you've like got your temperature right just by touching it and making sure that it's hot all the way along. So it's very much like I thought I was going to be able to go, no, this is the formula to shoot a temple, and it just doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
And do you think that's why you guys have your own set processes that you'll deal with? Is that why you'll deal with the shooting? Because it's a touch thing?
Yeah, I've never riveted anything in my entire career as making making spectacles. I've done it the odd time on a staking tool if it's gotten a bit loose. I have never touched that machine, and Jamie's never machined anything.
Right.
So it's like we do have our roles, and we just have got really good at doing those things. So like Jamie will always angle cut. I'll kind of have an understanding obviously how to do it. But yeah, just generally it's like, because even like cutting an angle in the frame, you have to kind of like hold it in a certain way, and it's like you've got muscle memory.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the one thing I think that not that I fear, but like I'm like, how would I go about teaching somebody these things?
Yeah, especially when it's like touch. It's quite a hard thing to teach, isn't it? Touch is like how you perceive it versus how Jamie might perceive it. Could be two totally different things.
Definitely, and I think that's going to be a challenge, I think, in the future. But I think one of the advantages is that we have figured it out. Whereas if we've never stepped foot in an eyewear factory in our lives, and there is a part of me that would love to actually sit down with somebody who's actually done this. Like these women who I've watched so many videos online of these women sitting in these factories just punching in temples and stuff. I'm like, wow, like these women are just amazing. Like they are,
But then if you think about it, we've often spoken about obviously, like if we were to get somebody in to do a job or a couple of jobs,
Yeah.
it's like specialists.
Mhm.
Like right now, we're doing accounts. We're we're doing every aspect of the business. Marketing, the making, and then obviously within the making, as you've obviously both realised, there's like so many stages to that. That's why we had to journal so much of that or document that, because like I said, like there can be when was the last time you machined frames outside the last, like the small ones? Like, you can go like 4 months without making a frame.
Yeah, because like we used to do lot more smaller batches, but now we do bigger batches. It just, I don't know, it just seems to work better for us. I think as well, justifying putting the tumbler on.
Yeah, when it holds 250 frames at once, there's no point putting it on for 10 frames.
10 frames, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, there's a reality that needs to come into it.
I think though as well, we were talking earlier about content creation is like batching your time. And like, if I'm going to go down and do it, I might as well make a quarter's worth of frames. So we're trying to reduce it down to like once every 3 months, maybe even less than that, making batches of frames, because it allows us to get into a rhythm up in the work, when we're up in the house with the marketing,
So is that how you sell? Just like batches? So it's not there's not always available.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to kind of wait. So like if one style, for example, sells out, it will just be left out of stock until we've got enough frames in that kind of position to justify it. And then we go down and make a batch. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, going back to those women that you're referring to in these videos, I mean, they've been shooting temples for years.
Oh, yeah, probably longer than we've been alive.
Oh, and they are wizards. They're just like, it's literally like witchcraft. Some of the consistency, and there's a company we follow online who they're a factory, they white label, but they talk about these women who are, for example, just doing shooting, and like they'll on different times of the year, different acetates shoot differently. Because like there's some that we work with that are like substantially harder in terms of density. Yeah. Because of the way they're made. Like some of the pattern ones are a lot softer, but then the monocolors like black acetate, that can be even softer again. And there's other ones that are really, really hard. So like they heat differently, they mold differently. So this is the thing that we always say is like making glasses from acetate is like, there's this like harmony between like man and woman and machine, because you have to be in tune with the material on that day, that color, that temperature, and like it's quite intricate to say the least.
So that's exactly why we were asking and why I was interested in all the machinery. Like Jamie yourself, you just jumping on to shoot one day because you needed extra hands on that. It's just not going to work, is it? And then it kind of leads into that employing someone. You just employ someone for a process or two processes and then train them up. It's kind of difficult to do it all, which is kind of what's interesting about the way you guys do work. Although you work homogeneously together, you have your own processes, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've realised quite quickly, like early on, that the next person we employed, we were already outsourcing elements of our business, but on a remote basis. It probably will actually continue to be like that. Although we might actually have somebody who works around us, they probably won't be involved in the manufacture.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we've got a decade under our belt. Don't get me wrong, there are certain jobs that we do, like for example, like hand polishing. You could probably quite quickly teach someone how to do that. It does take skill. They will wreck frames. I know that. Yeah. I sometimes make mistakes. But I think realistically, especially like anyone out there who has like quite difficult skills to master, they've taken 10 years to do it. If the way you've got to kind of look at it is like, if you're the value, like if you're Jono, for example, turning the pots, or if you're Lucy and Jamie making frames, or whoever else it is you've interviewed that has like, because they made it and they've made it that well, that's the value. You need to look at the satellite stuff that can be outsourced in your business. Yeah. So we said we'd probably sooner employ someone to help with marketing, or
it's worthwhile.
Yeah, but to let you get on with what it is you're good at, because that's the value, that's the business.
Because they'll be really good at that.
Yeah.
Or Shaka Social that helps us with our social media stuff in Glasgow, they're managing multiple different accounts. So they're seeing different trends in different areas. That's something even if we, went back to uni, done marketing, we wouldn't be able to see that unless we were taking their approach of multiple different accounts.
It's a phrase we use quite a lot between us, is like most people are generally capable of anything, but you can't do everything.
Yeah.
And that's what holds people back.
Yep.
And I think going back to that idea of like employing people or delegating to other people, like, that's a ceiling that you have to break through as a business owner. if you want to move to the next level.
Yep.
And that's different for everyone.
It's scary. It's
It is scary, but it's also the fun of it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Like,
growing.
yeah, there's
You're growing.
no way, a snowball's chance in hell that Lucy's going to find someone tomorrow who can do some of the things she does, the same way like some of the things that I do with the machines that I do.
Yeah.
But there are jobs out there that are outsourceable. And there are people out there who, you know, that's the whole point of business, it's a team sport. You know, find people who can do it, because it lets you get on with what you're good at and lets them get on with what they're good at.
It's a lot of the enjoyment as well. You know, like go back to some of the lads at work with me, and you know, I've got a couple of guys, like Alex particularly is really good at like little mechy things, and that's not my strong suit. So when we're designing stuff, if it's that kind of job, just ship it to him. And yeah, I think that is the excitement of it. So we've done loads. We've done the machinery and stuff as well now. Is there anything else you guys want to cover?
It's a good question. I mean, I think
Is there anything we've missed because we don't know how to make glasses?
that's a good question. I think we kind of touched on it at different points over the podcast, but I think the one thing I would say is like it's not necessarily a bugbear, because I think it can be a blessing and a curse, is people's perception of value, perception of eyewear.
Yeah, it's something I think we've battled with quite a bit. I mean, I was reading an article a few weeks ago about, we're just kind of talking about the mass, like it was actually an optical based thing, which is quite rare because it just seems to be kind of like sort of separate from our designy world. But they were just kind of talking about, it was this distributor and he's Italian, and he was talking about how difficult the UK market is specifically compared to the rest of Europe, because the Europeans take their eyewear far more seriously, whereas here it's almost like we've been sold that this is like some sort of con, that your optician's trying to steal your money, and like this is why there's been a huge surge in these larger, like, which is fine. Like, I'm not saying that everyone has to spend an absolute fortune on their eyewear. They really don't. You know, Specsavers are hugely successful for that, and that's fine. But I think we've definitely been sort of sold that this, like, if you're investing X amount of £100 in a frame, you're getting done out of your money. And I think that's something that we've really struggled with, particularly with the UK market. The only other place that we deal with on a reasonable size is the US, and they've got a completely different perspective on eyewear. Obviously, they've got their health insurance, which covers a lot of their frames and stuff like that. So I think that allows them to maybe spend a bit more on their frames and invest more in their lenses and stuff like that. Whereas here, it's all about I struggle. Like we get, like, obviously we've been doing a bit of advertising now, and we're exposing ourselves to people who maybe don't get it, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But if I see another comment like saying like, "Oh, this is ridiculous, I can get this for 50 quid," and I'm like, that's totally fine.
Yeah, go and do it.
But like, go and do it. But don't sit in what I don't like about not our society, but like it's a culture of like dragging other people down, and it's like they take a great satisfaction in trying to make like a devalue what it is you do. And that they love it. It's like they get a buzz out of it. And like we've spoken about, like with Nick from Fram, and like people just moan, and it's just like, that's totally fine. But what I find fascinating about these people is they don't understand is like they get shown all this stuff because they engage with it.
Yeah, well,
like,
they saw our advert because they're into eyewear.
Yeah.
They'll see our frames, and like I said, like, listen, different strokes for different folks. If you just want something that holds your lenses, cool, you can go and find a low cost solution for that, because it is a solution. There's nothing sexy about a solution to me. But you know, there's other people out there who are willing to, I mean, we've sold glasses for more than £900 back when we were doing bespoke stuff. And you know, like, everyone's different, but yeah, there's haters gonna hate. And the one thing as well, again, for people listening who run their own businesses or thinking about starting craft, you know, starting their own passion project or business, you know, there are always going to be people who either tell you
you're too expensive.
Yep.
Nobody's going to buy that.
No one's going to buy it, or how much for that? Fuck those people. Yep. Sorry, but it's true.
No,
like,
absolutely.
Don't listen, because if everyone took that attitude, there's only one way, and it's straight to the bottom. Yep. Everything's going to be cheap. Everything's going to break really quick, and you wonder what happened to whatever quality meant.
And
you're
going to have a pile of crap in your wardrobe.
And then we're going to have to deal with it floating, washing onto the beach we're trying to enjoy in 20 years' time.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It's one thing that's always kind of boggled my mind, right? Because you've got, like, all of us that are involved in people that do good stuff. you never see those people being like, these are ridiculous, these are so cheap. Like,
I know we keep
get on
our
with what you're
thoughts.
getting on
Yeah,
with.
we live
Yeah.
our lives,
Yeah.
whereas these people sort of thrive on like dragging other people down and making sure that everybody knows that they've ever come into contact
And
with.
you kind of put it back to your mind, but it does still bother
Oh,
you.
yeah,
You know,
of
you
course,
just
yeah.
you
It's
try
funny.
and
You
forget.
can get
I just get-
100 nice comments.
Yes,
from
and that,
Oh, it's that
one
one.
sticks
That one
out.
comment.
And the thing that frustrates me is that you can't, as a company, respond the way you really want,
Want
to.
to,
You
yeah.
want to make an absolute arse of these people, but you can't. You have to just
But you
stay
know,
quiet and
do you
be
know-
diplomatic about it. And they can say whatever they want, and you can't do a
Yeah,
thing.
people say, "Oh, haters gonna hate," but like
Mm.
the best revenge is just success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. Like, are you in a point now? Because I'm very much like that. Like, the negativity motivates me to just be like, have this conversation in a year. Let's see where I am. You way better at it now, but at the start you took that really
Oh
to
yeah,
heart.
I'm not very good at
You
it.
guys seem to just be like, revenge. As you say, the best revenge is success.
We've been subject to the world of Facebook ads because we've been pushing hard over that this year because it's a skill that we want to learn. And as a result of that, you're exposing yourself more.
Yep.
Just get more hate. But the one thing that I always say is if people aren't complaining or moaning or challenging what you do, you're not trying hard enough.
Because they're
Like
not
it.
seeing you.
Mm.
No, but it's true because if you say you've ran an ad for your next magazine, like how much for a magazine, or like why would I want to read about this shite or whatever?
Yeah.
Just the horrible things that people say on the internet. It's just like, good. I have made someone feel something about what it is I am trying to put into the world. They could feel really good about that, or they could feel indifferent or really against that. The worst result in any marketing scenario is indifference.
Yeah.
If people feel indifferent, that's nice, or that's a bit weird. You're just in the middle.
Yeah.
You don't mean anything. You never stood for shit.
Yep.
Like, if people hate what you do, that's a good sign because guess what? There's going to be people out there who fucking love what you do.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
so true.
And see the folk who hate it. See the folk who are out there like, oh, it's too much, or it's too this, or it's too that. It's just like, great. Because I know there's someone out there who feels the exact opposite, and they're my tribe.
Yeah.
And I just so happened to be in the wrong place today, and I found you.
Yep.
Go away.
Yeah.
So I've got one more question.
I've got a couple more questions.
Okay, well, my question's going to be like, what advice would you give your younger self? I love it. I love it because I'm the same.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never give up. It's like we were talking, well, this is for me anyways. We were talking earlier about this. It's like, I found something that I'm willing to hurt at,
Mhm.
and I'm willing to hurt at it more than maybe the next guy. And I don't have to be smarter or be from a better background or whatever to succeed at this. I just know that like if you're willing to stay the path, I know that it's going to pay off in the long run. Because I'm willing to do this no matter what.
Yeah.
And I've been through some hard times with you doing that. I've been challenged. There have been days where I'm just like, I just want to sack this in, but I'm still here and I'm still doing it. And if you just keep on that path and keep believing it, and there are the right signs.
Yeah.
You are making money. It's okay. You're going to be fine. If you keep just believing in it, and the more you believe in it, the more likely it is to happen. Just don't give up.
What about yourself, Lucy?
I think I'd have started a blog earlier.
Oh, good answer. You took
Yeah, we
that.
said that. We've spoken about this before. I wish we'd started a blog in 2012. I wish we'd
Because you've got a blog at the moment,
yeah,
don't you?
I wish we'd pursued that more when we were in our earlier years, because that would have helped a lot.
Well, I wouldn't have had to have worked my job for as long as I did.
Yeah,
We were
I think
holding
that's
ourselves back.
Yeah, well, we didn't know the benefit of it, but yeah, like also like just getting organic traffic. I wish we'd started that earlier. I mean, obviously, there's still opportunities out there. I'm not saying that you can't start a blog in 2022. Of course, you can. There's still plenty of keywords out there that you can rank for. And yeah, I think I wish I'd done that sooner because we'd have
It's a good
been
one.
a lot further along. It's kind of that like 2 best times to plant a tree. That's like 20 years ago, and obviously the next best one's today. So you can always start. It's tough because you have to keep going. But it's our motto for everything, though, is you just keep going.
Yeah.
Even when
Yeah.
nobody's looking, nobody's paying any attention to you, you just have to keep going. And we were the same in the shed. Was nobody had any idea what we were doing or how we were doing it. And then did the exact same thing with the blog. Is like for I don't know however long, didn't really see any results. And then you know, you start seeing your traffic increase, and then you start seeing sales, and you're like, right, okay, that's why, you know, we're doing
And
this.
is that blog your number one organic?
Oh
pointing
yeah,
people
absolutely.
towards
Yeah, that's
by
why.
a considerable amount.
Oh yeah, that's been our only
Right.
source of getting
Marketing.
sales. We haven't done any paid until recently. We hadn't done any paid since about 2017.
Brilliant.
Wow.
So we did everything organic.
Good.
Just because we didn't have the budget for,
But
so we
building
just
on
sweat,
that, though,
like, you know.
in
like
terms
the-
of advice, though, like, because that was your question about like advice to other people or to our younger selves, is like, if it doesn't work organically, it ain't going to work paid.
Yeah, yeah. How true is that as a thing?
Yeah.
How many people like
Yes.
plow money into something for paid ads
Artificially.
that isn't working organically?
Yeah,
Like, get it to work organically first.
Yeah.
I really like what you said there, though, that we kind of brushed over. The two best times to plant a tree is 20 years ago and today.
Mm.
Like, yeah, just if you've got an idea, if you've got a why, just start it and get cracking.
There's a really good story about that. This is stolen. This is not my analogy. I'll just make that clear.
Just have it. Just take
Yeah,
it.
I'm just going to put it out. There's a story, this is true though, about bamboo.
Mhm.
It's like, if you want to grow a bamboo plant, you take the seeds, put them in the ground, you water them. 3 days later, you water them again. 3 weeks goes by, you water them again. And 3 months goes by, and you're nurturing these seeds, nothing's happening. You're like, I'm getting really fucking bored of this, like watering these seeds. So 3 years goes by, nothing, literally nothing. Like, why am I watering this? Like, why am I running this business? Why am I putting out these reels? Why am I writing these blogs? 5 years, nothing. Like, what? Like, most people on the surface, your friends and your family are telling you you're nuts. Like, why are you still going with this? Why are you still making glasses?
Why are you still doing the glasses?
Why are you still doing the
Big
glasses?
glasses.
Are you still doing day glasses? Yeah, I'm still doing day glasses. I'm still watering my bamboo seeds that are on the ground and no one can see the growth. And then what happens in 8-10 years' time? All of a sudden, you've got the fastest growing plant on the face of the earth.
Yep.
And it's shooting through like you wouldn't believe.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just think like you're absolutely right. You just like I think the human condition is to like want immediate growth, especially in the world of social media.
Yeah, fast content. Everyone
impatience.
wants everything fast.
Amazon Prime has ruined us.
Yeah, yeah, it has.
Like it's just we're just spoiled. Everything's so immediate. And the one thing I've learned from all this, like 10 years of making frames, is just like anything worth having doesn't come easy.
Mhm.
It doesn't come quick. It's hard. It's unsexy. You know, there's times where you're literally crying because it's like this, you just don't want to do it anymore. But that's like where true joy can come from. Is like when things pay off.
Yep.
And I just think in the world that we live in, when everything's so immediate, you know, Deliveroo, immediate satisfaction, like everything's just at our fingertips. You're left with really diverse, quite polarized options in life. You can do the really, really hard thing, which is really difficult to do because you could just get it on delivery or just get it on Amazon, or I could just watch a film because I've got Netflix 24/7. And, you know, I think the things that are really genuinely worth pursuing are the things that don't come easy, because eventually they will give you so much joy, so much satisfaction. And that is in writing blogs, learn how to do something that's really fucking hard. And that's what separates you from everyone else, because most people just want to take the easy road.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I think
Yes.
a lot of people take a lot from this.
We were talking
Yeah.
about this last night, right? This is obviously quite recent. In a
Yeah.
year's time, it sounded a bit odd to have an older podcast, but like the Queen's just recently passed away.
Yeah.
My dad just lost one of his best friends round about the same time the Queen died. And it's this like huge wake up moment. And like everyone, especially with the Queen, sat up and was like, shit, you know, like it's this marker for time.
Yeah.
Like time doesn't wait for anyone. These times are a changing. But it's in these scenarios that people realize, shit, I still haven't started that blog, or I still haven't started that business, or I still haven't ran that marathon, or I still haven't gone to the gym. And like, there is no convenient time to do any of these things.
Yeah, there's people who are like, still haven't started that business that I wanted to do.
Yeah,
I'll do it
100%,
next week. I'll
yeah.
do it next year. There's never a right time. You just
No.
need to do it.
No,
Mhm.
and there are a lot of people out there who have gone like, you know, like they've grown up. They've been around. For example, the Queen again. She's always been ever present,
Mhm.
or you know, she was someone's mum, but she was also like the Queen. We all knew her and all the rest of it. But like, I'm just using her as just like a time marker. That's all it was for everyone, because not many people actually really knew her. She just was just this figure in our lives. But when you wake up out of these scenarios, you're like, shit, like it's like, God almighty, like time's just flying by. Like there's no convenient time to do any of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think like, just like, we've all got the same amount of hours a day in the day as Beyonce. Just fucking do it.
Yeah. But it couldn't be more true. You know, I often think about one of Kate's friends who's the nicest person. She doesn't have a negative attribute. Like, great person. All the time I've known her. So Kate and I have been together 11 years. All the time I've known her, she's been talking about starting a business. And she's had various reasons not to do it. She'll know who she is. She's had these various reasons to not do it. But I always think, like, that first conversation we had about it, imagine you started it then.
Yeah, where you'd be now.
Imagine, you know?
I was going to say something about that. Did you know, it's funny, like, you know the guy who started Gymshark?
Yeah.
Like, he's like huge, like
massive.
Famous business guy. Like I kind of went onto him on YouTube, kind of binged him a bit on podcasts and stuff, but he like failed so many times when he started. And like, you'll have far more having tried to start 10 businesses and never even started the one that you thought of once. Yeah. Like just do it. You know?
Do it and fail.
And I sound like a Nike advert now.
Yeah. No, but yeah, you're 100% right. So what does the future look like for Bantam? Have you got any plans for the future? You alluded a little bit at a retail space.
Yeah.
We genuinely quite seriously considered that earlier on this year, but we decided against it.
Yeah, talking about being reclusive. Yeah, we nearly went and just like basically like threw all caution to the wind, like took about basically half our bank balance and we're going to go open a pop-up shop. We receded and recluded from that just because of the way things are, which sounds, do you know what, that is an excuse. I'll put my hands up right now and say that it's an excuse because I know if I put that money into other things in the business, I'd probably be better off for it. So it's kind of like that risk reward. Like we've got data to go on things I can invest in right now that I know will have a result.
Well, it all needs to be calculated, doesn't it?
Measurable. Yeah. Going away and taking that same sum of money and going and opening that shop is an unknown. And right now, just with the stage we're at in our business, economically as well, doesn't quite make sense. But yeah, retail is something that we're eyeing up. It's probably inevitable. Whether or not we have our own mono brand store, I don't know. But people often, when we talk to them through our live chat on our website, oh, where can I try these on or whatever? Right now, the answer is you have to buy them on our site. You can return them for free. For some people, that's a huge turn off, and I totally get that. Yeah. We wear we make and sell a very tactile product. People want to try them on. That's a big barrier to overcome through a screen. It is holding us back.
I would say, it can do it, but we still have a lesser return rate than ASOS, for example. Like, we don't, like, people think, like, there's certain customers who will buy a frame from us, never having tried it on, and want us to pre-fit their lenses, like, so it's non-returnable. It's their custom lenses fitted and they're good to go. They don't mind. They don't care.
Our favourite kind of
customer.
Those are our
favourite customers.
Yeah, more of them, please.
But then there's some other customers. It's like we know because like we speak to them on live chat and like it's us that they're speaking to. And the ones that are like, oh, can I try this? What about this? And what about that? They would buy. There was one person who bought about 10 of our frames. Spent well in excess of
£1,500.
Heaps of our frames, every single one of them come back. And I'm just like, what was the point in that? And I was just like, the more frames people buy to try on, the less likely they are to actually keep. Whereas there's one customer who comes in, buys one frame, they've thought about it, they might have taken about a month deliberating over it, probably assessing everyone else's, on Google. And then they go for it. And they've made the decision and that's it. So I think when it comes to retail, then the biggest fear is that you've still got to battle to get people into the shop. So when you've got that space, whereas we've kind of look at it as we've got like a little online retail space and we're trying to consume as much of that, kind of like getting more people onto the website, which is our little virtual shop. So we're kind of like, we kind of had that sort of like dilemma. Do we focus more on our virtual shop or do we take the plunge into something neither of the two of us have got any experience in? With retail at all.
I worked for a shop for 3 months.
And you hated it.
Yeah, I hated it as well.
So I'm like,
I mean, all of a sudden it's selling your stuff, you think it's going to be all different.
Exactly.
Public facing jobs aren't easy. I did it for a long time. I worked in pubs for 5 years just to keep this going. But I mean, the idea of retail is, I think, inescapable, especially within optics. Although it is getting better, optics is one of the few industries that is actually cottoned on to the internet.
Yeah, it's really lagging
bizarre.
behind.
It's one of the few product categories that just resists the internet.
Well, one thing that I spoke about a few weeks ago is the best thing that could happen to our online world is if Amazon started doing it. Because if Amazon can crack how to convince somebody to buy a frame and get their lenses done,
Then we can all do it.
We can all do it. Because it's like,
Right,
we
you
need
think
more
that's the
people.
gateway,
Like,
yeah.
we need more people, whether it's Amazon or just like another big, huge company.
Yeah.
We've got Glasses Direct, but they sell cheap. And
Yeah.
it's like,
It's a value thing.
yeah,
It's like
because
risk.
it's low risk. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, it's only 70 quid. If it's not great, it doesn't matter. But it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're only paying 70 quid, so it isn't going to be great. It's going to be crap.
The more people who sell good things, so good frames, specifically within optics, good glasses, we're talking at £400, £500, £600 dispensing value prices here. If more people can do that, the more and more we've made the right decision.
Yeah,
to
we
do it
just.
the way we
I
do
think in some ways we're early. Even now, we're even earlier 10 years ago. Like, the thought of selling online is just bizarre to a lot of people. It's starting to get there, but we've got like this question in our email funnel is like, have you bought glasses online before? And the majority of people is no. You know, and a lot of them as well, it's kind of like they sign up for our email list. Like, we didn't, steal them or scrape their emails off the internet, but they've consciously made an effort. And then they go, oh, but I'm still a bit unsure, or I don't think I want to buy glasses online. And we're a bit like, why did you sign up to our email list? Just out of interest, like, not being rude, but like, it's like, I think they kind of want that.
But it would be interesting
engaging.
to see why they don't want to. Like,
Yeah,
you're
well,
not
we
being
do.
rude there. You're just
Yeah,
asking the
yeah,
question,
just
like,
like-
why?
Yeah, we're not after 10% market share. We don't need that very many people to buy our glasses to make a good living.
Yeah.
These conversations that we have in this funnel genuinely are conversations, because you need 100 true fans. That goes right out there for anyone who's selling any kind of product. If you're, people listening to this who are making any kind of commodity, boots, shoes, leather, wallets, whatever, glasses. If you can have 100 true fans who keep them coming back to you, you've got a business, depending on how many things you need to sell. Because repeat business is business.
Yeah.
Because people are coming back. That's how you make a sustainable job.
Yeah.
These people who come onto our list, Lucy just mentioned to, like, have you bought glasses online before? No. And sometimes it's just no.
Yeah.
Other people's no, I'm a little bit scared because, and then you go into this conversation, and that's what it's all about. It's having conversations and relationships at the end of the day.
That's what makes the difference, I feel.
It does. We're not looking for the next one, the next sale. Like, there's people, once you've shown them the light, not just with how good our frames are, but the service that we can provide.
Yeah.
That's where the journey starts. And it's making that leap. It's bridging that gap between, I have never bought glasses online before, or this kind of shoe, or this kind of ceramics, or whatever it might be that you're making, and getting them on side and saying, no, you can trust me. Because if you're selling direct, if somebody's out there listening to this who's selling direct to customer, you have to build that trust. You have to have that conversation. You have to build that relationship. And we've had people who are like, no, I'm like, how does it work? Like, I've got these kind of lenses, or like, how does it fit? How can I try it on? It is tiring, don't get me wrong, writing and answering these emails all the time. And they do lead to dead ends. But I've found some of our best customers through these kinds of conversations. And once you've shown somebody how good you can be, it's really difficult for them to go to someone else because they're loyal to you. And like, the next guy might not be as good as Jamie and Lucy, because, well, I don't think they will be, but
So to answer that person's question, then how does it work? Is it a case of just spark up a conversation with you guys?
yeah, we genuinely are having a conversation.
Yeah.
That's part of the funnel.
So to anyone that's out there watching this thinking, yeah, I'd love to, but I'm in that same position, I maybe don't know how to buy them online, just email you guys.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be there, you're going to answer it.
Yeah. It's just us two. It's a lot of work. I am answering emails at all sorts of times of the day, but there are people I can quite quickly tell the tech, like, no, they're really not. You're in the wrong place.
The older, the longer you've been doing it, you detect them. The minute they start, there's certain words that they use, or their attitude, or the way they come to things. You're just like, I'm not going to waste any more time on this.
Yeah.
So you just, as you get older, the more you
it sounds
come into
really
contact.
cutthroat. If you ever like watched The Apprentice and they're out in the street trying to flog like tacos or whatever, and like if they're just not interested, like, some people just don't have that ability to like detect if they're in the right place, and like, it's a skill you have to hone, but it's only a skill you can hone if you practice it.
Yeah,
it's like a muscle. You need to exercise it, and like, through these conversations, you can really quickly find out if you have not only spent your Facebook pound well. But whether or not this person is going to end up sitting in your email list that you're paying to harbor for no reason, and they're never going to buy anything. And, they talk in email marketing about having like a clean list, emailing your people who are actually reading them, actually opening them, actually clicking and actually buying. And the more conversations you have like that with people, the better you get at detecting who's worth your time and your money. Because there's only 2 of us and there's only so many hours in the day.
Absolutely. And you've still got to actually make the product.
Totally.
Yes.
So is there a world maybe where, I think back to Ross's conversation last week where, Ross's sort of dream would be to have like a destination retail with like people like yourself. And is there a world where you maybe have a couple of frames in some destination shops where you can direct people to try them?
Yeah, I think something we've toyed with, dabbled with in the past is through opticians, because generally when people get new glasses, it's triggered by, I need to update my prescription. We've got a 2-year, sometimes 1 year sort of timestamp on our glasses needing to be updated. And that's definitely a trigger for people to go, oh, and it's usually used a lot of the time as an excuse as well of like, oh, I don't need glasses right now, I need to get my eyes tested. So that's a classic. But yeah, I think there's certain boutique sort of independent opticians, particularly in the UK, that I know of, that I'm like, no, if we got them in there, I'd be pretty chuffed. But I think the one thing that kind of makes it difficult for us is that obviously our volume, and we've battled with that, and I think probably a lot of makers do, is like obviously the margins when you sell something direct are significantly higher, and when you've only got a finite number of products or finite
it just pulls you back to direct.
Yes.
It does, because you're just like, oh well, I could sell one of them, myself, and that's like 3, and I've got to give away to a lot of the time. You got to give it away to an optician or a store, and you might get paid in 30 days, you might not. And I've spent years chasing people to pay invoices, and it's not like a particularly attractive part of what it is you do, and it's just like, I just don't have time for it. Whereas a customer is just like, they don't have a choice, they put their credit card details in, that's it.
But going back to your point though, I mean, we can make, we're vertically integrated, we make our own product, our margins are good, but all of a sudden in the face of basically what feels like giving away product for a very small portion of the margin that's left in that frame, it just doesn't seem worth it, especially when you've made it and you know how much effort went into making it in the first place. So it's that's that balance, because like what we do, a lot of effort goes into our products. I hope we've communicated that today. But
moreover,
that's enough for us to go like, no, like if we can sell enough of these direct, that's it. That is our business, and that's what we do. But don't get me wrong, like if you can make things quickly, or if we could make more frames quicker and you could scale, or you've got more people who could help you make them quicker to scale, by all means, like get them into shops. It's a marketing exercise just as much as a business exercise. But that's only if you can do that. Like we are not making thousands of these things. Not every single retailer around the world, we're not willing to just give them our frames either, like on sale or return, SOR. I mean, it's the death of the maker. The most interesting brands aren't in a position to give you their products on SOR because it just you're just going to kill them. They're making frames to sit in your shop that you're not incentivized to sell because you haven't bought them.
The minute it goes on SOR, they're happy to let it gather dust because they've got it for free.
They haven't got skin in the game.
They don't care. Like, I know it's just a harsh.
Unfortunately, the bigger contracts that we have, we're a loss leader to get into the American market. It has worked, but we've certainly pulled back from that on the basis of it being SOR. And the crippling thing for us, and the reason we chose to move distributors, was it was SOR based on whatever we don't sell. To prove it, we'll rip the front covers off and send you a picture of them.
Put it in the bin.
And you're just like, oh God.
But this new distributor, he says anything that we don't sell, we'll put it into hotels. We'll give it to cafes. It's like, why wouldn't you do that?
Exactly. Make use of it. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And this is kind of what I found really interesting about the destination shop, and Ross being so passionate about that. And it really makes you think, like you guys, it's putting it into and chasing invoices and SORs and all that jazz. It's like, but if it's a destination specific shop, it's just like it just feels like it would fit better. People are going to go there to see your stuff, or people are going to. It doesn't take away from the fact you still need to make a pair or two to go there. But if it's a destination shop, people aren't going there to necessarily buy it, but is it going there to try it, knowing that they would come direct to buy from you?
Yeah, it's like having like a little try-on
Aye.
kiosk. That's what we kind of called it. It's like you can't actually buy them; they're just there for
Yeah.
your try on, and then you go and buy them online. Yeah, that's something that we've kind of debated.
We go round and round circles with this
I know.
every Saturday. Did we open a shop? No, but then like, what if we just like invest in a bigger factory and then went down wholesale? But then like, what if we had a shop in the wholesale factory, or like, there's so many ways we can do it. Like, inescapably, people want to try our products on. It's just a part and parcel of it. Does it suit me? Does it fit me? How does it feel? Is it what I want? You know, and wholesale is a really easy vehicle for that. If you can scale, if you can buy them in hundreds, we're not making them even in we are making them in the hundreds, but it's this like constant tug of war between like, do we do it ourselves? Do we do it through wholesale?
That's the right decision.
Yeah, I mean, we had 30 odd stockists in Japan at one point.
Yeah.
You know, we've done it. We've done wholesale. It's not easy,
Then
you got to, because there's still only two of us. You know, you're talking about like trade shows. You're talking about like spring, summer, fall, winter, autumn shows, like the fashion cycle, following all of that. The optical trade shows as well. They've got their own timeline and seasonality as well. And
then where do you find time to make?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So we kind of took destiny in our own hands, and we have been selling direct for a long time. The pandemic kind of put a kind of temporary stop to wholesale for us at the moment.
Yeah, we just took it as a bit of a like, no, we're going to cease doing
yeah.
that. Like we had opticians, and they kind of came back to us and, oh, like I like this, I like that, or whatever, and like they were always a bit kind of not like lukewarm, but like you would bring them frames and they'd be like, nah, not right now. I'm like, all right then. I'll keep that in mind. And then they come back to you, you know, because they've gone round Silmo, which is a big trade show, and they'll come back and obviously haven't seen anything that they kind of like,
we'll try you now.
Well, I think we might give those a go. And I'm like, do you know what? No, if you think they might fit, you're obviously not that fired up about them. So I just don't really want
waste
to work
my time.
with.
Basically.
I'm just because you just kind of think, no, I'll give them.
But the thing is, though, we could sell, say, 10, 20, 30 frames to an optician. He's like, you know, we'll see how they go, guys. You know, it's 30 frames.
I
get one customer come in and buy for the highest amount of money I can make on a single sale, who is like tripping on our work. These are the best things since sliced bread. Absolutely beautiful. I've had so many compliments. Like, we've genuinely changed that customer's life.
Yeah.
Like, we have made an impact. That is a really, really good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's addictive.
Yes.
It's hard. Like, don't get me wrong. There are opticians out there who just live and breathe what they do. And those are the same kind of people as these customers who want their friend. They're our people. Yeah. I'm not interested in folk who just look at it as buy it for £1, sell it for £2, or it's a thing that just holds their lenses. Like, I think it's not my thing.
That's the most important thing, that all the conversations we seem to be having, that's the most important thing, is they're your people, and that's your people. Like, recognising that is actually probably one of the biggest hurdles when it comes to the marketing side, I personally think.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if people get it, they get it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try and convert the unconvertible. That's just my thoughts.
Well, we've been speaking for
nearly 3 hours.
Jeez.
Time flies when you're talking about making friends.
I know, right?
Guys, you were absolutely fantastic.
know,
It was
it's
great.
great.
We got such a good insight on your business and the challenges that it presents, and the good stuff you do and how you do it.
And I'm sure a lot of people take a lot from
We
it.
let a little bit of the crazy out today, didn't we?
That's good. It's your
That's it, because
Saturday.
you never got your Saturday talk. I was like, just going to do it on a podcast.
That's what I said to you. Like, you know, again, we haven't done very many of these, but yeah, like, we have these kind of conversations all the time. And yeah, there's certain things we've probably spoken about today that I'm like, oh God, did we bring that up? God, we spoke about that. But yeah,
But it's good to
You
let people
won't be
in.
the only one that's thinking that, though.
Yeah.
You won't be
I
the
know.
only, like, we think about it all the time. There's so many times you're like, I can't say that, and then you accidentally blurt it out,
Yeah,
and then
you
so many
can't.
people jump on the back of it and they're like, you're right,
Yes.
we've been saying this for years, just that we were scared to say it, you know. And it's what it is.
stick it to the man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. We'll wrap it up at that, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Guys,
thanks again.
Thanks so much again.
Thank you for having us.
No, no worries.